You're just a downbeat wet blanket, fairly lazy, sloth, champagne guzzling bum.
Diverting late-night football conversation for prostitutes.
How dare you!
Chronic back pain sufferers.
Done the old back again.
And security guards who haven't quite nodded off yet. Wake up! The Michaels, Graham and Parry on Talk Sport. For when two mics are better than one.
Look at the light! The light is broken! I'm never ever going to go into a hotel room again with cushions and a wrap in it because I'm going to say, take these away. These are filthy. When were they last clean? You know, have 100 people lay on these cushions and on this wrap. Could have been having full sex on the old wrap and using the cushions to improve and stimulate the sexual positions in which they were having sex.
Well, you never know.
That's a thought, isn't it?
Tying each other to the bedpost.
Well,
this is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes, and I'm delighted to say it's time to say a very, very good morning to Mr. Mike, a Porky, a Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
Rabbits.
No, it's not.
Yes,
no.
it is.
No, you can't say it.
I can because it's the first opportunity I've had to
No.
say it since the new month came in.
Rubbish. It's the 2nd of August. You're only supposed to say it on the 1st of August.
I don't care.
You've now jinxed the entire month.
I haven't jinxed the entire month.
have.
I put it out in a Twitter yesterday.
Lots of people put it out on a tweet yesterday, in fact.
And I think you'll find that it's absolutely right. First opportunity to address.
I think, no, is there not some
our audience?
superstition attached to it?
No,
if you say it at the wrong time.
No, not
It's a
at
bit
all.
like April Fool. If you play an April Fool's joke on somebody after midday on the 1st of April, that doesn't actually count.
Well, April Fool's jokes are so stupid anyway.
Well, you played one on me, I think you'll find.
No, I didn't.
Yes,
no.
you did.
No, I didn't. I gave up April Fool's jokes.
No, you gave me. Do you not
30
remember?
years ago.
No, you didn't. There's a video of you doing it.
Yeah.
You gave me a biscuit with soap in it or something.
No, that was for a bit of a video because we were plugging a live show we were doing.
No, it wasn't. We shot a video of you giving me a present, which turned out to be a fake present, and it was some ludicrous April Fool's joke.
It wasn't my idea.
Really?
That must still be on Two Mike's TV, I suppose.
It is on Two Mike's TV.
Because that's gone a bit fallow lately because we've had other things to do.
Well, fallow's a very negative word.
But we're going to rev it up again.
Fallow's a very negative word.
No,
fallow
fallow is a field that is not ploughed for a couple of years. That's all I'm saying, okay?
Well, I mean, there's lots of things I could describe as fallow in your case, then.
Really?
But what I'm suggesting to you is that, well, there's lots of videos of us available in all sorts of places.
That's right, yeah.
So it's rather than suggesting that that's in some way fallow, the fertility has been taking place elsewhere.
Yeah, okay.
Let's put it that way. In fact, if you want to see a load of new videos, what have you got to do? You've got to sign up to the Two Mikes experience.
That's a shocking admission that you've made there. But anyway,
what do you mean?
I won't go into that.
What are you talking about?
I'll talk about fertility and all that.
Well, fallow and fertile are two opposite and opposing words.
Yes, exactly.
No?
Now, you didn't know what the next big golfing event was, and I told you it was the Invitational.
No, I asked what the next big golfing event was, and
I
you
said
went,
the
it's the Invitational.
Yeah.
Well, it's
no, I didn't say it's the Invitational. I said it's the Invitational.
Yeah, it's the Invitational.
Yeah.
It was the Bridgestone Invitational, in fact, was the term you were looking for.
Yeah,
there are many golf events which are called the Invitational.
No, this is when you talk about Invitational, you're talking about Bridgestone.
Really?
Everybody in the world of golf knows that. Because I'm going to be really interested to talk to Mark a bit later on.
Mark Olsen, yes.
About why Rory and his caddy have parted so soon after Rory apparently, gave him all the credit for shaking him out of the malaise he started the British Open.
The Open. The Open. Actually, it's known as the Open.
I know, it's
not known as the British Open.
I know that because even Tiger Woods one year when he won it said, I'm so pleased to come here and pick up the claret jug for the British Open. No, I'm sorry. I mean the Open.
The Open.
It is known as the Open, but that's to us. We're purists. To our millions of listeners out there, some of them might still think it is called the British Open, that's all.
Now, the Invitational...
By the way, do you know how much his caddy's earned while he's been with...
Well, it's millions, isn't it?
7 million.
That's not bad, is it?
The caddy, JP something. Why are popular Irishmen always known as JP?
Well, I think they like the old...
James Patrick.
Yeah, maybe James Patrick, but they like the sort of acronym, don't they?
That's right.
JP McManus.
That's right, JP McManus, JP... Joseph.
Hey, what about AP McCoy?
Joseph Peter.
What about AP McCoy?
Because Peter, of course, is a saintly name. Sorry, what?
What about AP McCoy?
AP, yeah, well, that's Anthony Patrick.
Yes, indeed.
Same thing.
Known as Tony.
Tony.
Yeah. Now, apparently, he's going to be taking his friend Harry Diamond.
Yeah, that's right. Now, who is this Harry Diamond?
I think he's his kind of boyhood chum.
Is he?
Or is his best friend.
But isn't he...
But so he may not be the caddy of the rest of the time.
Of repute, yeah.
But he may well be just the caddy for this one tournament.
But isn't the guy like a physical coach or something?
What do you mean?
In his real life,
What do you mean his real life?
Well, when he's not caddying for his mate Rory.
I don't know.
He's not. I don't think he's a golf caddy as such, you see. Anybody can be a caddy. Anybody can carry a background.
I mean, it depends,
and I don't quite understand. I'm going to ask Mark this. I don't quite understand what the intrinsic value of a caddy is.
Well, generally speaking, the golfer will have to trust the caddy's judgment, because the caddy...
On what?
On distance to hit the ball, which club selection you're going to take. He knows your game better than anybody else, right? He's going to know what kind of a player you are. He's going to know sometimes better than you what sort of shot you have to hit in any particular situation.
But you see, I don't understand that. That's like Lewis Hamilton having a bloke sitting in the back seat saying, right, brake.
Well, not really.
Accelerate down to third,
not really.
up to fifth.
No, not really.
It is. It's somebody telling him how to do his job.
No, because the point is the caddy is the guy who knows you better than anybody else. Now, you could, say, break the mould and decide to play without a caddy and say, I know everything here. But actually, the caddy is helpful in all sorts of ways. On the putting green, he's helpful. He can read the putt for you. You can read it as well, but if you've got two minds reading it, like, for example, if you're playing in a foursome, for example, and there's two of you, and you've got one putt on the green, normally speaking, you both have a look at it and decide what you both think. And you kind of and you kind of collude, and you come up with the best answer.
It is quite interesting what you say there, because, of course, sometimes when I've written pieces which have been published in,
like the Portsmouth Bugle?
No, highfalutin publications.
When was the last great publication you had in a newspaper? What would you say?
I think it was probably when the Times, the Thunderer, lifted a chapter out of my Looney Tunes book about... I don't know what you're laughing for.
When did they do that?
They did it not that long ago to prove that Wayne Rooney had a brain that worked.
Have you still got the
better.
cutting?
Yes.
Can I see it?
If I can find it.
If you could find it, would you
Wayne
please
Rooney had a
in?
brain that was better than Einstein's.
Yes.
The Times, the Thunderer, took that chapter.
I'd like to see
and
it.
ran it. Yeah.
I'd like to see it.
Oh, why would you like to see it?
Because
why didn't you just buy a Rooney Tunes book and read the chapter in there?
Because I can't get hold of one.
Oh, can't you?
No, it's out of print.
I thought you said there were millions of them for 1 penny.
Well, there are millions of them for 1 penny
on Amazon.
But I don't wish to use Amazon, and I don't wish to waste my money on postage. You don't buy something that costs more in postage than it does to actually buy.
What?
If I could go and buy one from a second-hand junk shop, I would go and get one tomorrow.
Yeah, well, you don't get my
books
in junk shops.
But I don't wish to put one out. All I need from you is to prove...
What you get in junk shops is junk.
Yes, well, that's why it would be in there.
No, it wouldn't.
The point is, surely you've got, you must have a collection of massive cuttings of all the cuttings that you had over the course of your time.
Do you know, once I gave them to my mother for Christmas. No,
you gave her your
seriously,
cuttings?
Yeah. And I said, here, Mum, is an absolute unique present, She said,
was it a scrapbook?
No, I said, what's that? And I said, well, look, you're always saying that, you try to fill your days with gardening and all that. I said, look at all this. I said, this is 10 years of cuttings. I said, fantastic pieces about me.
Yeah.
And you can spend the next 3 months putting them all into scrapbooks and, make a...
Speaking of that, by the way,
collection of them.
Somebody again over the weekend.
She absolutely rubbished it.
I'm sure she would do.
Don't want to do that.
No, I'm sure she would do. Because if you hadn't even stuck them in, I mean, that's a life's task, though. My dad used to do it for me.
Yeah.
He used to, when I was in America, he used to collect all the stuff that I wrote in the Sunday Times.
Funny enough,
and put it in a book for me.
When I came back from America after about 3 years, my mum had volumes of cuttings but they're all from the same paper, the Daily Express. You didn't have to
well, that's because that's the only one you worked for.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But I mean, funnily enough, the piece that you did for the Daily Mail, that sort of hagiography that you did when you supposedly had recovered from your heart problem.
Well, I was recovering. Look, there's my
Eric Cantona.
That was the hearing I was at.
Oh, is that the one where you're sitting next to him?
Yeah.
Well, why not? They're not showing you though.
Well,
they're just showing him. I haven't seen you.
Right,
there. That's why you're holding the door for him.
That was the one I was holding the door, yeah.
No, but once again, every now and again, people will redistribute that piece in the Daily Mail.
Yes.
Partly because of the most humorous line in it, where you talk about, having managed to repair your heart and to start walking to the post box because, you looked out the window and saw this post box 70 yards away.
Yeah.
And it previously took you 4 days to get there. Now suddenly you can, absolute load of old rubbish, right? The best part of it is...
you can say that.
Where
it was widely
Where you
praised.
say that you have now replaced heavy drinking with moderate drinking.
Yes.
Guffaws all round. A diet of very, very fatty foods replaced with fish.
Yes.
Which, again, more guffaws all round. Yeah. And some other thing that you claim to have started doing, exercise.
That's right, yeah.
All of which is an absolute load of old tosh.
My exercise bike, by the way, my new one is up and running.
Your exercise bike?
Porky Towers.
When are we going to see a picture of it?
You're not.
Why not?
Because every time I take a picture of something in my house, all these ignoramus, who are amongst our millions of listeners, send
that's a bit harsh.
Send in tweets saying, like, cheap carpet, or...
Well, it is cheap.
Look at the state of those curtains.
Those horrible curtains. It looks like a mausoleum.
Or when you're going to paint the walls, So I'm not taking any more pictures inside Porky
Why don't you
Towers.
do it in black and white? Make a moody sort of monochrome picture.
No, I'm not interested. I'm sorry.
Well, how about just a selfie of you pedalling it?
No, I'm not doing
Well, see, nobody's going to believe you.
Well, I don't care. I don't care if they believe me or not. It's there. It's great. I leap on it every morning, Give it at least 20 minutes at maximum strength, and the effect is fantastic. I've lost a lot of weight.
Okay, good.
Lost nearly 2 stone.
Well, the most important thing is your health is important. You've got to survive.
Exactly.
Whatever it is, the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. Here's one from Nosler who says, I'm catching up on the podcast as I'm out in Munich supporting Liverpool in the Audi Cup. Love you guys. Well, Liverpool beat Bayern,
well, 3-0.
Of course, 3-0 earlier on.
Yeah.
Although Daniel Sturridge appears to have got himself a bit crocked again.
Is
so
he?
there's a bit of a worry about that. Okay. But we'll talk about that soon. We'll talk about some
What's
more of
that
that.
guy's name again?
Who?
The guy's tweet you just read out.
Daniel Sturridge.
No, Norwiger or something.
Oh, well, his Twitter handle is Tartan Terror, but it's Nosler, Nozlerz.
How can you take anything serious from a guy called Nosler? He sounds like a petrol pump.
Well, it's probably not his real name, is it?
Probably not.
It's probably just his pseudonym. But that's Twitter handles for you. Now, we've got Ask Porky coming up a little bit later on as well. We'll be talking about all sorts of things, including the AA. This is Talk Sport.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
I'm going slightly mad. I'm going slightly mad. It finally happened. Finally happened.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. You can tweet us, of course, at the Two Mics, at Mike Parrier, and, of course, at IROMG. Rolly says, Harry Diamond is a 28-year-old multimillionaire and ex-Irish golf amateur international. He's Rory's best mate and could probably caddy okay. Says Robbie, who's from Belfast.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed for that
information.
So he's an amateur golfer, but a successful businessman.
So he must know Rory from their amateur playing days or something like that.
It wouldn't be ridiculous to suggest that his businesses may have something to do with Rory's career.
Possibly,
or something like
we don't
that.
know. Well, see if we can find out in the meantime.
Yeah.
Here's one from Greenie, who says McIlroy sacked his caddy because he's a big crybaby enfant terrible whose ego couldn't stand a few home truths from JP. Well, I mean, he once called JP the guy that made him into the golfer he is.
That's right.
Back in, I think, 2008.
He did.
He said, this is the guy that got me from 200th in the world to, the number one.
No, he said from 200 to a major.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Well, to a major winner.
Yeah, that's right.
But but he's been number one in the world as well, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Caddies are essential for course management, says James. Well, that's true. And I think it would be very strange for a professional golfer not to have a caddy.
Yeah.
Because don't forget, it's also a lot of the time for these guys, they're spending the most of their time with the person that caddies for them.
Yes.
That's carrying their bag. The guy who's carrying their bag is not just their companion on the golf course, but he's probably eating dinner with them, he's probably eating breakfast with them, they're probably talking to each other constantly, so they have to be quite close.
Sure.
Tiger Woods' caddy made about 35 million quid off him, I think.
He was, wasn't he the 7th richest earning sportsman
he was, something
in the world
like that,
1 year or something like that?
He was.
I tell you where I see caddies at their best.
Yeah.
When I've done the open competitions, I always get to the course at about 4:30. I've worked on breakfast shows with Al there, but I like getting there early to watch the course waking up. Seeing the burger vans come in, but one thing
the burger vans.
You see the burger vans come in.
Well, there's a bit more to golf than that.
No, but seeing a sporting arena waking up and seeing all these guys who make their living from literally getting up in the middle of the night and driving burger vans to sports arenas, it shows you just how what a fantastic sort of potpourri it all is. But the caddies walk the whole course. That's about 7 miles.
Yeah.
It's about 7, isn't it? 6
I
or
don't
7
think it's
miles.
quite as many. Is that around there?
5-6 miles. And they visit every green because, of course, I didn't even know until I covered my first Open that they move the...
because they move the hole.
They move the hole every day.
Of course they do.
And you've seen the machine they do it with.
Yes.
This huge, great tube, that they sink down.
How many golf tournaments did you cover?
But we see what I've never had an answer to. Is that's all very well, putting your big tube in and digging a new cup, you know what I mean, and for the flag and all that.
Yeah.
But how do you level out yesterday's hole so it doesn't interfere with the run of the ball across the green?
Well, because what you do is you take the hole that you've dug, right, the big tube of earth, and you stick it in the place where there is a hole.
Yeah, but you're never going to get it level with the rest of the green, are you?
No. Yeah, you do, because it goes down the same depth.
Yeah, well, you say that, but it can't be exactly.
I say that. Of course it is.
To the last millimetre?
Yes.
Can't be.
Yes.
Can't be.
That's why they use the machine, because it's so absolutely accurate.
Yeah.
And then they will use a variety of tools and equipment, including a roller, to basically roll it all flat.
Yeah. Well, then the caddy goes back and has breakfast with his man, and he tells him all about the shape of the greens.
I mean,
and all
it's the
that
same
kind of stuff.
as you might as well ask the question, how do they repair the pitch marks and make sure that the green doesn't actually have any major dents in it?
Yeah.
Because when the ball comes in,
chipping
fires
onto
in.
the green.
Well, when your ball comes firing in from, say, an 8-iron shot from about 150 yards away, and it comes right into the green, which might be a bit soft.
Yeah.
With backspin, it knocks a great big chunk out of the green.
Yeah, but that's wear and tear on the day.
No.
I'm talking about the major surgery, which happens overnight.
No, but the wear and tear from that is a lot worse than picking up one hole and filling it in with another.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and what they use is a pitchfork. Have you ever seen that?
Yes, I have. Yes, I've seen
a
that,
green repairing device, which you stick it into the ground, you dig it all up again, you flatten it down as well with your foot, and by the time you've done that, it's back to normal.
Yeah,
because greens are incredibly well put together.
I'm not sure. What they normally do is, in my experience, is they put today's hole as far away from yesterday's as they possibly can.
Well, they try to supposedly make it more difficult as each day goes.
That's right, yeah. But therefore, the run of the ball onto the green is not usually going over the ground that was yesterday's hole, if you see what I mean.
No, quite often, especially where you've got big links courses with the greens are very large.
That's right.
It's a very, very long way away.
That's right.
You know, for example, they put it at the front of the green for day one.
That's right.
By day 4,
it's at the back.
Probably at the back.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Or at the side. Yeah.
Or at the side.
Yeah.
Sometimes there are double greens, of course.
Of course there are.
Which can be quite difficult.
Indeed.
That's over in St Andrews.
Indeed, that's
and various
right.
other places. I've played on courses with double greens.
Yeah.
And you can end up with a putt which is about 100 yards long.
Yes, that's right.
It's ridiculous.
And if you've been drinking, as you often were on golf courses, then you're confused as to which one you're going for.
I mean, you're the one that drinks on pretty much everything you're at, right? So when you played golf, for example...
I really object to that. That gives a terrible impression of me.
Well, tell us about your round of golf in Dubai, where you said you played brilliantly because you were so well-oiled.
Yes, I was, but I'd been drinking all night, and I was invited out to play at 4:30 in the morning when it got light.
When I used to play a lot of golf, there was no drinking being done when I was playing golf. There was drinking done afterwards, but not while I was actually playing.
Well,
I may have you know. Now, somebody calls himself Bully85, says you can now buy the Rooney Tunes volume for 18 quid.
18 quid?
He says it's now 18 quid. It says $17.99, delivery at no extra cost for Prime members.
That's right. That's because it's now so rare.
Quid for it.
It's now such a rare book. So many people have bought it now. It's. I'm going to have to talk to the publishers.
Well, I thought you were going to
get a reprint.
Well, get a reprint, but also add another chapter.
Yeah,
the final chapter about his return to Everton.
Well, I could do that.
Shouldn't you do that?
Now, somebody called Paul has sent in a very nice picture of 2 capitals. One of which I think is New York City. Is that the Empire State Building? No, I don't think it is. And I don't know which the other one is. But anyway, he has replaced the moon in each case. Oh, one's Chicago. Yeah. Mine's over Chicago, because I can see the Sears Roebuck building. And yours is, yes, indeed, New York.
This came in quite a long time ago,
did it? And the moon's been replaced by my face in Chicago and your face in New York. Rather
really?
Nice tribute, that. Thank you very much.
How bizarre.
Yeah.
Well, we've got lots of good Ask Porkies coming up a little bit later on as well. But did you see, and we were going to talk about this earlier on, but we ran out of time, Daniel Sturridge getting slightly badly injured, or injured anyway in some way, shape or form, in that friendly between Liverpool and Bayern Munich.
Yes.
Which Liverpool won 3-0.
Yes. That's an impressive result, that.
Well, it is, but you always wonder, don't you?
But hang on, didn't Bayern get slaugted by another English team?
I don't know.
Was it City beat them 4-1? Or no, City
possibly.
Beat Real Madrid 4-1?
I don't know.
I think Bayern have already been beaten by another English club this close season. So maybe they're not going to have a very good season. And if Bayern Munich don't have a very good season in Germany, German football dies.
Well, it doesn't do very well.
No.
I'll tell you what I did see that was interesting was Jurgen Klopp fixing the microphone for Diego Simeone. Did you see that?
Kloppy?
Klopp.
Yes.
Kloppy.
Yes.
Did you see the press conference?
No, I don't think I did.
This was the press conference ahead of the Audi Cup.
Oh, I see.
So there was Carlo Ancelotti.
Yeah.
There was Diego Simeone, because Atletico Madrid are in it.
Yeah.
And there was Jurgen Klopp.
Yes.
I'm not sure if anybody else was there. But somebody asked a question to Diego Simeone, and he couldn't quite make his microphone work, so he couldn't be heard.
Yeah.
And suddenly Klopp gets up from his left.
Was it when he was speaking German?
I don't know whether he was speaking German or not.
He was speaking German, because they're in Germany, that's right.
But he got up and he basically came over like a technical operator.
Right.
Fixed Diego Simeone's microphone.
Yeah.
And then went back and sat down in his spot.
Right, well, that's brilliant. I like it.
Well, I think it was quite interesting. Yeah, quite impressive.
Now, James here says, catching up on the Two Mics podcast whilst harvesting. Could I even ask for better company? Porky and MG, keep up the great work. Well, that's very kind of you, and it shows a picture of the farmer driving his combine harvester with his feet resting on the, like on the dashboard. You see what I mean?
Yes, I see that.
So I'm not sure if that's a good way to drive a combine harvester.
Well, I think it's that time of year now where the dust from all the corn and all the maize and all the barley and everything else that gets collected spreads its way across the farm.
Yes.
Because all the farm fields around me have all got corn in them this year. And they're all growing like wheat and stuff. So
well, that happens every year, doesn't it?
Well, no, they don't always grow the same thing.
No.
Sometimes they grow different things.
Oh, I see, like barley and all that.
Sometimes.
Hey, what do you think about Joey Barton coming to join us?
Well, I saw that you were fulsome in your praise
Of course.
I mean, I regard Joey Barton as a guy that I don't have a great deal of time for.
Really?
However, I'm sure he'll make for some very good radio. He's going to be on with Adrian Durham on Matchday Live. In fact, he's going to be on Mondays, I think, as well. Monday nights to analyse all of the football that goes on.
Pretty damn
Well, I mean,
good.
I would say the reaction on Twitter has been mixed, to say the least. But as ever, when TalkSport hires somebody, that's always the way.
Well, yes, but not only that. If it's mixed, that means it's controversial. That means it'll be...
Well, that's a good thing.
It'll be, of course.
I think it's a good thing.
Will be interested.
But I won't suddenly turn around and go, Joey Barton's the greatest guy that ever walked the earth.
Well, I've never said that. I've always said he's a fine man and...
you think he's a fine man?
And talks well, yeah.
Well, I mean, he talks well. I wouldn't go as far as to say whether he's a fine man or not, because I don't know him.
Right.
But perhaps I'll meet him and I'll decide then as to what sort of bloke he is. But it's a good thing for TalkSport. Good thing for the listeners. Swampy says this: I'm a qualified greenkeeper, and yes, the old hole replaces the new, and gently tapped with a rubber mallet until flat.
Rubber mallet, you see.
So there you go.
Yeah, great.
So I told you it would work.
I like that.
Swampy is backing up my plan there.
Yeah.
Now, coming up, we've got to speak to Mark Donaldson. We're also going to go over to the White House.
Sorry, funny you should say that.
What's
Mark
that?
has just tweeted. He says, last time I'll be listening to TalkSport, this guy is poison. He's talking about Joey Barton.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, well, the people say that all the time.
Yeah, of course they do.
I've never listened to TalkSport again.
Yeah.
And a week later, they moan about something that you've said.
That's right.
Because they are still listening to TalkSport. And this is TalkSport. And why not? TalkSport, we are the two mics. Lots going on, of course, throughout the course of the night. We will be talking football. We'll have a look at some of the big stories as well. We'll be talking Rory McIlroy, and we'll be talking to Mark Donaldson about that, of course, as well. I've just been sent a very interesting story, though, by the way, Porky, here, which is all about what you talked about last week and speed bumps, and how apparently some people now think that speed bumps are actually causing more of a problem than anything else, and the best thing to do is to rip them up in order to actually combat air pollution.
Yes.
However, that plan has now been attacked by safety campaigners. I've just had this sent to me by a tweeter by the name of G. O'Hara, and it says that basically the government said it would fund councils in England to tear out humps because they elevated pollution as drivers surged between them. But apparently campaigners are now saying the risk of accidents from speeding drivers almost certainly outweighs the long-term pollution risk. So it's the devil in the deep blue sea, isn't it?
That's great. I'm delighted that all these environmentalists and these ridiculous local council planning planners are falling out over it, because all they want to do is interfere with your life and take control of you, and it's a damn disgrace. Give anybody a single little position of authority in any way, and they will try and exercise that to the maximum to control your life. That's what it's all about. Government is all about control. It's not about working for you, which is what they should do. Local councils should work for you. They don't. They try and control you. It's a damn disgrace.
Well, there's an organisation called Living Streets, which campaigns for children to walk safely to school. They say if the councils remove the road humps without installing other measures, such as chicanes or speed cameras, it will deter children from walking and cycling.
Yeah. Well, all roads around schools in this country now are 20 miles an hour.
They should be.
And if you don't adhere to that, then you are a social misfit. And everybody knows that when you come up to a school, little kids can easily get away from their parents.
Yeah, but the trouble is, though, an awful lot of schools are on busy roads. That is part of the problem, particularly in cities. And you can't actually guarantee that the cars are going to be going, as slowly as that, because it's not always easy to do.
Well, it should be enforced.
Well, it should be enforced, but the best way to enforce that is to put speed bumps. I mean, for example, my older son's school, which is a secondary school, right, where they have thousands of kids coming out on any given day at sort of 3:15.
Right.
There was a kid run over there not that long ago. Through his own fault, largely.
That's terrible.
Because what they do is they come out of the school and he darts across the road without looking. So he came out from behind another vehicle. Somebody was driving off from having picked somebody up.
Yeah.
Luckily, he's okay.
Yeah.
But he was in hospital for about a week, Because the trouble is, unless you've actually got speed bumps where people are crawling along, it's always going to happen.
Of course it is, yeah. I remember as a young reporter, a lot of our patch around Chester was like rural, where there's stables and all that kind of stuff, and there were a lot of school buses around. I'll never forget going to an inquest. I told you before about the inquest you had to cover, because the weekly papers sit on an inquest because they're so local, you know. And it was a couple. He was a farm labourer, and she was a cleaner. the mother, was a cleaner.
Right.
Their father was a farm labourer. They had nothing except one child.
Yeah.
And the little girl got off the bus, and her mother's waiting on the other side of the road. So excited to see her, she just ran out from behind the bus, and she was knocked down and killed instantly.
Oh, God.
And it was the most tragic inquest I think I've ever done in my life, because the poor mother wasn't crying or anything. She was in a daze. I mean, there was nothing behind her eyes. The only thing they had in life was the little girl. They were very, very poor and basic people who worked on a farm and lived in a tied cottage. It was shocking, and it's never left me the memory of that poor mother's face. That
sure.
Desolation.
Absolutely.
So I've always been very, very aware of, whenever I'm driving anywhere near a school or where there's children, ever since, to crawl along at 10 miles an hour, never mind 20.
Yes, a good idea.
Yeah.
Nick says this. He says, tell Porky that combines are now driven by GPS when harvesting. So that means they're practically robotic.
Oh, I see. So he can put his feet up on
he can put his feet up and just make sure it's turning at the right place and all the rest of it.
That's amazing, isn't that good? I suppose, because, I used to have a job where I had to, with a red flag, I had to run the width of a helicopter with wings on it, which was spraying the field. And then as the helicopter went up and banked and came down the other side, I had to pace out where the next approach coming
in. When you got covered in all these dangerous chemicals.
I could have got Agent Orange. I could have got cancer.
Well, I don't think you get Agent Orange. Agent Orange is what they use.
Yeah, well, Agent
Orange.
Defoliant.
Defoliant, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, Agent Orange was instituted by the Americans to clear woodland next to rivers in the Mekong Delta.
That's right.
So that the Viet Cong, I ain't got no problem with that Viet Cong, said Muhammad Ali, but the Viet Cong couldn't shelter.
A lot of people did have a problem with the Viet Cong.
A lot of them did. Yeah. Couldn't shelter in the trees and shoot at the American boats going by.
Yes.
So they came up with the brilliant idea of defoliating.
Yes.
The only problem was
as opposed to exfoliating, which is something completely different.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. The only problem was that the general back in Washington D.C. in the Pentagon, who issued this instruction, found out. This is a tragic story. 10 years later, his son died of cancer, brought on by Agent Orange.
By the use of Agent Orange.
Because he was the commander of a boat on the Mekong Delta.
I think it was well into the late 70s, early 80s, when all those court cases were still going on.
That's right.
Because an awful lot of American soldiers were exposed to it.
They were,
without absolutely any idea that was going to happen.
That's right, yeah.
Shocking stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could have been irreparably damaged as well. Not by Agent Orange, but by something else.
Yeah, well, it was. I don't know what they were spraying it for. So I was just spraying it to protect it from, I don't know, birds or something like that. So it didn't eat all the corn or something.
Hey?
But, birds eat corn, don't they?
Well, some of them do. Yeah, that's what they have scarecrows for.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right, yeah. And it was amazing to see this helicopter.
A helicopter's a weird way to do it, isn't it?
No.
When you use a small plane, because a helicopter would blow everything around, wouldn't it?
Not really. I mean, it had gone past the wheat when it was pouring the...
Yeah, but wouldn't you use a crop duster type plane for that?
Well, I'm not sure that the fields they were spraying were big enough.
Really?
It's not like America. It's not like the scene in North by North-South, and that
North by Northwest.
North by Northwest, that's right, yeah. When the guy's flying over all these fields, but he's not really flying over the fields, is he?
No, he's looking for Cary Grant, isn't he?
Exactly.
Who's hiding.
And remember...
some woman.
Yeah, and remember Cary Grant was warned by the bloke across the road who was waiting for the bus.
Uh-huh.
He said, that's strange. And Cary Grant said, what's strange? He says... The guy who's spraying that field. He says, yeah, he's going the wrong way. Oh, really? Yeah, the wind's blowing the other way.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that was when he realised he was being chased. Yeah, I don't remember the film that well.
Yeah.
Carl says this. Can I have a shout-out for my 47th birthday for yesterday? His name's Carl Murray, and he says, see you in New York. So he must have bought a ticket.
OK. What's his name, Carl?
Carl, yeah.
Hey, Carl. See you in the city, man.
See you in the city.
Take a bite of the Big Apple.
By the way, I've got some great pictures, because over the weekend, my sister and another friend of ours was around going up and down various English pubs and Irish bars and a couple of places that stock some British-style stuff.
Fantastic.
Putting up posters for our show.
Yes, that's right.
Which is tremendous.
Yes, it is absolutely
live
tremendous.
In New York at the City Winery on Saturday, September the 16th.
That's it, fantastic.
And get the live stream as well from the Two Mics website, by the way.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Excellent.
Yes.
Well done.
You seem very distracted.
I'm not distracted.
You are.
No, I'm not.
You're staring at your phone.
I'm staring at my phone.
Why are you staring at your phone?
Well, I'm getting messages about Joey Barton, which is great. They're all saying it's going to be a great Christmas party this year with Porky and Joey
These
Barton
are
in the
ancient
same
messages
room.
you're looking at.
Yeah, I know.
Why are you going so far back?
But no, somebody sent me one saying that some sort of half-baked former presenter from here has been spewing bile about me all day on his...
spewing bile about you?
Yeah,
Who?
apparently. From some, tin pot blinking broadcasting thing he does from the shed at the bottom of his garden.
Oh, right,
That's strange.
I wouldn't give him the time of day. To
I
be
wouldn't
honest.
either.
It's not worth mentioning him.
No, I totally agree.
I don't think there's any point. He's the guy that's listened to by 129 people.
Yeah.
That's the one you're talking about.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, okay. Now, Patrick has sent this in. I don't know whether I can read this out as it is a family show, and he does say #family show.
Yeah.
And he says, in case you're ever stuck in Iceland, I discovered this place on my travels.
Oh, let's have a look.
And you like Iceland. You've been there. Have you ever been there?
The Penis Museum?
Yeah.
My goodness gracious. This is a family show.
It is.
The Icelandic Penis Museum?
Yeah.
That must mean something else.
It says the only one of its kind in the world.
Well, it would be, because, I mean, how many people want to go to a museum full of those sort of things?
Well, I don't know. But it does say it's formed by the Icelandic Phallological Museum.
So it's all about phallics.
Well, I guess it would be, yeah.
Good God.
Yeah.
Who'd want to go there?
Well, I don't know who would want to go there, but I suppose you can make a museum about anything.
Good
They've
God.
got a sex museum in Amsterdam.
Have they?
Yeah.
Have you been there?
No, I didn't go in.
No, neither have I.
Well, have you been to Amsterdam?
Loads of times.
Have you been down to that part of the town?
Yes, I have, actually, because what happened was, what we were doing there one night...
Well, you must have been there for a football match, right? It's mostly
I've been there for loads of football matches.
Yeah.
So I've been there to see...
the Ajax Stadium.
I've been to the Ajax Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Brilliant stadium. Yeah, it's a bit out of town, actually. But the reaon we went down to the Red District, I'm not sure. We were doing some kind of feature on something, but it wasn't about, red light business. You know, it was wherever we had to go was located in that part of town.
I see.
Yeah.
Oh, is that it? That's a great story.
Well, no, because I can't tell the real story because there were colleagues with me who actually.
Why are you looking at me like that?
Well, they succumbed to temptation.
I see.
Put it that way.
Are these colleagues that I would know?
Yes.
Are they colleagues that might still be operating?
Well, they're colleagues who are still certainly alive. You know,
They're
they may
alive?
not still be working for TalkSport. And they may not be
you
around.
say they were with TalkSport.
Sorry?
You say they were working for TalkSport.
Well, no, they were. This is many years ago. And I don't want to get into it. You know?
Okay, all right. Well, maybe we shouldn't carry on.
There are reputations to be protected.
What year was this you're talking about?
Oh, a long time ago.
Well, like last century.
Not quite last century.
Beginning of this century.
Certainly, certainly 10 years ago. Put it that way.
Yes.
Yes.
What about this guy from the AA, by the way? Have you seen this story?
Well, why was he? Why has he been asked to leave, or why has he left?
Well, nobody knows for sure.
Right.
However, the official statement says that he has been alleged to have been involved in what can only be described as gross misconduct.
Yes.
Right? Now, you can take your pick as to what that would be.
Yes.
But gross misconduct can often be something of a personal nature. It can be something of a financial nature.
Yes.
His name is Bob McKenzie.
Right.
The statement issued by the AA says that he's been fired.
Yeah.
Quotes, for gross misconduct with immediate effect.
Right.
All they would say is that it was a personal conduct matter.
Yes. Don't we need to be told? Because I think we are, as the AA members who give their hard-earned money over to subscribing to what used to be called the Fifth Emergency Service.
Yes.
No, the Fourth, actually.
Was it the Fourth?
Fourth Emergency Service.
Who's the Fifth, then?
Might want to know.
What about lifeboats?
Lifeboats are fantastic, aren't they?
Aren't they the Fourth?
They could be.
Did you see, by the way, that amazing piece of footage of there's a fire somewhere? I think it might be somewhere in Europe.
Oh, yes.
And a guy on a speedboat is trying to put the fire out.
Is he?
But do you know how he's doing it?
No.
Because you know how some speedboats, when they go, there's a massive plume of water
Yes,
that comes
that's
out the
right.
back.
Yes.
He basically goes towards the cliffs, because
Right.
the fire is sort of on top of these cliffs.
Yes.
Not particularly high.
Yes.
And he does a kind of massive U-turn, almost like a handbrake turn.
Sends an arc of water
Sends
onto
an
the
arc
land.
of water onto the land
Yeah.
to put out the fire.
And did it?
Yeah.
Really?
It's amazing.
That's brilliant.
I'll
Yeah, I
try
love
and
that.
show it to you in the next moment we have.
I love that. That's brilliant.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know what's happened to this guy, but it does strike me that you only last week mentioned the AA
Yes.
as the great source for that ridiculous survey of yours about
what was
electric
on?
cars.
Oh, electric cars, that's
Yeah.
right, yes, yeah. Well, Edmund King is the guy we normally speak to at the AA.
He does normally talk to us, yeah.
Who is hugely responsible.
Used to be the RAC guy, funnily enough. He was headhunted.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, when I first started talking to him on the radio, he worked for the RAC.
Oh, I see.
And he got
to the AA.
because he was always on. He's such a good voice, very deep voice.
Yes.
Speaks very well.
And has a tremendous reputation and is a man of great solidarity
Yes.
and that kind of stuff, you know. So he will have been shocked, I think, at the,
I'm sure he will.
whatever happened.
We'll see if we can get to the bottom of it all.
Yes, we should.
But coming up next, we've got Mark Donaldson, who gets to the bottom of what's going on with Rory McIlroy.
Indeed.
This is Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. We often give little quotes from people who are listening in different places around the world. Matthew's listening in Porto Alegre in Brazil, and he says the guy on the bus stop warning Cary Grant that the plane was dusting a field with no crops. That's right. What we just said.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I said that he said the wind was blowing the wrong way, but that's
what
he said. He pointed out
nothing in it.
Yeah, the plane wasn't there to dust crops. That's right. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Anyway, well, we're not talking about crop dusting at the moment. We're talking about golf as well, of course, because it's the Bridgestone Invitational coming up from Thursday with Rory McIlroy, but without Rory McIlroy's caddy, JP Fitzgerald. Mark Donaldson is here from ESPN to tell us what is going on. Mark, a very good morning to you.
Morning, gents. How are you both?
Yes, very well, thanks, Mark. Very well. And
now,
what a mystery this is. Have you unravelled the mystery? Is it a mystery wrapped up in an enigma?
What's your name? Woody Allen?
Yeah.
What I was going to say, Mark, is I have total sympathy with somebody who gets stuck with somebody day in, day out for years and years and years and eventually just wants to get rid of them.
Yeah, I mean, until one of them or both of them come out and kind of tell us what really happened, which I think will never happen, we might not know what has actually happened here. They've obviously parted ways after kind of 9 years. It's been a successful 9 years, and it seems pretty bizarre from our perspective, given the fact that at the Open, he came out, Rory McIlroy, and said that it was up to JP who helped him turn around his first round because he was unravelling after 9 holes. So this event has come around pretty quickly. You'll know more in about, I would say, 14, 15 hours' time when he has his press conference prior to the WGC. He'll be able to answer the questions and I think hopefully provide us with a lot of answers.
Yeah, and he's not backward at coming forward, is he, Rory, on these sort of things? He's always been very, very honest when he's had a problem in life. He's always sort of, been frank and opened up about it.
He has, Mike, and with this as well, we'll know more. And all we can do right now until the press conference is speculate. What we do know, according to the Belfast Telegraph, is that for the next 2 tournaments, including the WGC, Harry Diamond, one of his good friends from Hollywood and Northern Ireland, will be on the bag. Yep. He was also his best man at his wedding. So that's for the next 2 tournaments. And you're right. He's one of these guys, as the three of us being members of the media, he is someone. I remember sitting at his press conference at Carnoustie, 2007, and he was an amateur there. And he was excellent. He owned the room, and he was just a baby. Yeah. But you could tell back then he was something special. And he maybe gives us too much, and now he gives us not as much as he used to, but... For me, I mean, I love interviewing, have done in the past, Rory McIlroy, and I love listening to him as well. And it's refreshing. It's not cliche-ridden, his answers.
Yeah, that's right. When you're making £7 million by just carrying a bag for Rory McIlroy, that does indicate, doesn't it, the difference between the guys who carry the bags for the world's top players and those who carry the bags for those lower down. I remember at Lytham St Anne's one year, Mark, I was in a hotel miles from the course, and because I wanted to start very early, it was hard to get a taxi, because there was so much going on. So I went and stayed in a B&B right near the course, and it was like £7 a night, and half the caddies from the tournament were staying there.
I'll give you a quick story. Muirfield, and it's a similar story to the one you've just said. Muirfield, 2013, the Open. A guy who I didn't know, but he's a friend of my boss's, a guy called Ronnie Levin, whose nickname on tour as a caddy is Bambi. Now, he's caddy for Jack Nicklaus and many others. He was the caddy for Todd Hamilton when he won the Open in 2003, 2004. Now, it was, I think, the Monday or the Tuesday, and we get a call. My boss picks up the phone, and it's Bambi. He's like, look, it's a late shout. Todd's regular caddy has been unable to attend, and he doesn't have anywhere to stay. If he does take the bag, is there a spare room? We're like, no, but he can have the couch. Yeah. Now, he did have the couch. Todd missed the cut that year, so Ronnie didn't really get paid, but that's the life of a caddy, and there's some wonderful books out there. Obviously, a friend of the station, a friend of mine as well, Craig Connolly, who's Martin Keimer's caddy as well. He's got it good right now, but these guys and girls, they've had to fight all the way up, and there's still stories of couch hopping and goodness knows what. I mean, just because you hear these top guys. Remember Steve Williams, who was the highest paid sports star in New Zealand?
Oh, yeah.
He was Tiger's caddy.
Yeah. That's right. I mean, that was what we were talking about that a little bit earlier on, and they fell out. So there's no sort of word on the street yet, as it were, Mark, that there's been some incident that's caused this. Because, as you say, he seemed to be very much praising him during the Open.
Yeah, and look at Mickelson and Bones. They've split up. And over here, I believe the Sky Sports coverage was excellent of the Open. Over here, I thought the NBC Golf Channel coverage was excellent as well. And they had Bones Mackay, who's Phil's former caddy. They had him on the course, out and about. And that was the incredulity that greeted that announcement that Bones and Phil were splitting. I mean, goodness me, that was like husband and wife for 25 years, the most loved-up couple suddenly parting. It does happen. It's life. We move on.
Yeah. I mean, has there been any reaction as well to the great story that was appearing, I think, a few days ago last week, about the guy who would appear on the final round of McIlroy to have picked up his ball and put it in his pocket, the one that he couldn't find.
And
which
cost him a place.
It cost him, one place and possibly 155,000 quid.
Yeah.
But there's all sorts of things like that, isn't there, as well? There's the guy, if you saw the shot that Jordan Spieth hit from the tee and it went wildly right,
yes,
everyone congregated around it. That wasn't where the ball was. It was one guy who went over the top for a little wander to try and find it. So for every guy that was involved with Rory, there's the other one as well that finds things. And we've got all the issues now where you can phone in, and thankfully they've kind of tempered that rule as well. But I mean, look, it is fan involvement. The one thing I would say with regards to spectator involvement in golf, I think the golfers from the tee, rather than just shout 4, they've got to give some sort of direction or shout it a bit louder or whatever, because just to hand over a signed glove when you've had a whack on the head from a golf ball, come on, a bit more decorum than that, please.
Well, most of us players who are far more wayward than they are would normally shout 4 right or 4 left. I mean, why don't they do that?
Well, exactly. That's my point.
Yeah.
Because if you're on the tee, these guys are hitting at 310, 320. Sometimes, I mean, that's before it bounces.
Yeah.
That's the carry. So if you're 310 yards down the fairway, A, it's a long way. And B, a lot of these holes on most of the courses, you don't always see where the tee ball's coming from as well, because it's a dog leg or whatever. So, just add a left or a right and shout it loud would help a little bit.
You're absolutely right. Now then, just moving on here, Mark, what we're getting quite interested in is Liverpool going to Bayern Munich and beating them 3-0. Now, that is quite some... That is quite some result, particularly as only yesterday old Kloppy was saying it's going to be very hard to improve on last season's fourth place.
Kloppy?
Well, just get a bit familiar with these people.
Jurgen.
But Mark, what I'm saying is this a sign that Liverpool are going to be a force, or, because they haven't had a great pre-season, are Bayern Munich wilting even further down the league of European giants?
If we go back, not 5, not 10, not 15, not 20 years, but the last 25, 30 years, and we draw up a league table prior to the start of the season based on pre-season form, I guarantee you every year it would look a hell of a different than what it actually does at the end of the season. It's pre-season form. Look at all the subs that were made. I mean, Liverpool made 9 subs, I think, in the second half. It's a great win. I don't want to take anything away from them. To say Bayern Munich are not going to win the title on the back of a 3-0 defeat, nonsense. I'd be amazed if Bayern don't win it. Let's have a look at Liverpool for a second and their pre-season form. Sadio Mane, now that he's fit again. Mohamed Salah, and obviously through the middle, Roberto Firmino as well. What's noticeable with those front three, because the three of us have spoken about where you're able to play Coutinho, because last season, certainly for the predominant amount of the season, he was playing as part of a front three because you didn't have Salah. You had Mane on the right, you had Coutinho, and you had Firmino. Then Mane got hurt. So they changed things a little bit. Now he's playing a little bit deeper. Is he more effective there? Who comes in? I mean, who's going to be playing left back? It's not going to be Moreno starting this season. Is it going to be James Milner? Probably. Is it going to be Andrew Robertson going forward? Maybe. Gini Wijnaldum didn't play, so whose position is he going to take? Jordan Henderson or Emre Can? I just think you accentuate the positives for Liverpool. You enjoy a 3-0 victory, but you know when you go to Watford on the first day, that's when the real business starts, and pre-season counts for nothing.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Pre-season, of course, counts for something up in Edinburgh at the moment, though, doesn't it? Because Ian Cathro out of a job at Hearts after not even 9 months.
No, and you mentioned last week when we were speaking about it, they lost to Peterhead. They had the chance to go through Peterhead are part-time, play north of Aberdeen. They have the chance to go through against Dunfermline at the weekend. They didn't take it. Now, Cathro was down in the Midlands seeing Nuno Espirito Santo, who's the coach of Wolves, and he was his boss when he was at Valencia and Rio Ave. People are putting 2 and 2 together following the firing and saying he's going to end up at Wolves. He may end up at Wolves. However, he's no longer at Hearts. Is it the right decision? I think so, because a lot of people down in England might not know Hearts are funded to the tune of about 1.25 million by their supporters, and the concern was, allegedly, among the chairwoman and Budge, the owner, if the coach remained in place, the money might dry up, because it's direct debits that fund this football club as well as her. So the right decision was made. I hope it doesn't put managers off who... I mean, Ian Cathro's of the kind of Jose Mourinho school. He didn't really play the game. He may end up being a good coach one day, but he's 31 years old. It didn't work, but I don't think Hearts should be castigated for trying something a little bit different.
Possibly not, but I saw that you tweeted out earlier on in the day about the story going around that it was Chris Boyd what done it, as it were. Chris Boyd wrote an article at the beginning of the tenure of this guy saying he wouldn't work.
Well, Chris has come out in that newspaper, which is published today again, and he's basically said, I told you so, however, I wasn't having a personal go. The initial piece pretty much was, it was a character, not assassination. He goes, I met him at a coaching course once. I don't think he's a man manager.
Right. Sounds very much like the Porky School of Journalism, this. Stick the knife in, watch him fall, and then say, nothing to do with me, he's a great guy.
Yes.
Rather than saying, I feel for Ian Cathro, by the way, I told you so, it was a, hi, I'm Chris Boyd, I told you so, by the way, I feel for Ian Cathro.
Yeah.
Look, we're talking about a columnist, that's his job, to get people talking about him, and that's the newspaper aren't complaining about the publicity they're getting, but it's one of these, we all told you so. For me, it was more of a character assassination to begin with, rather than anything else. A laptop loyalty and all that nonsense.
Yes, indeed. Well, listen, Mark, as ever, thank you very much.
Okay,
indeed.
Mark,
Enjoy,
thanks a lot.
The Bridgestone Invitational. Hopefully, Hearts will get a decent manager. We shall see. Some interesting talk about mind games, Porky. I wondered if coming up in the next hour, we're going to talk about Maurizio Pochettino, who's been firing a few darts back at his old mate Antonio Conte.
Well, not only that, but he's rattling the cage now about where's my money.
Yeah,
he wants to buy some players.
Exactly.
Yes.
We're going to talk about that coming up. And, of course, it's Ask Porky as well.
Yes.
All coming up in the next couple of hours here on TalkSport. This is TalkSport. We are the two mics. As we were saying just before the news there, Mr. Parry, there just seems to be a bit of a battle brewing now between Maurizio Pochettino and Antonio Conte. Well, they're both sort of chucking barbs at each other before the season starts, which is always good. Yes. It's always nice to have a little bit of a tasty kind of personality clash going on, don't you think?
I think old Poch is going a bit public, actually, because I think his frustrations about his lack of ability to dabble in the transfer market are coming clear. So, for instance, I'm looking at one of tomorrow's newspapers. I spoke to Morata, but he just said, why do you want me if you have Harry Kane? Yeah. Maurizio Pochettino interview.
Is that what he sounds like? Morata?
Yeah.
Sounds a bit like a sort of one of those Jackie Chan villains.
Well, there's no need to get personal with people. I'm only trying to atmospheric things.
Indeed.
Maurizio Pochettino is winding up to fully address Kyle Walker's defection for the first time when the double doors behind him swing open. Pochettino, legs crossed and body slouched inside the Westin Hotel in downtown Nashville, observes the coffees on a tray. Thanks the waitress. The check twice changed. It just goes on and on. But anyway, it says he's a very relaxed man. He's on tour, obviously, with Spurs in Nashville. But, excuse me, he says things like, Manchester City paid a lot of money for Kyle, but we saw the best of him at Spurs. He says, the perception of Daniel Levy is wrong. Like me, he's very keen to sign players. So it's a united front at Tottenham, but obviously if he's speaking like this, one has to suspect that he's getting slightly frustrated as the transfer window remains open, but time diminishes.
Well, what I found interesting, actually, was Darren Lewis, who was talking on Sports Bar a bit earlier on, talking about his trip around the world, where he was over in China, he was in Hong Kong, I think he was in Singapore, spent a bit of time with Antonio Conte.
Yes.
And he was with Conte when this original story kind of came out.
Yes.
Where Conte basically came out and said that he thought, Harry Kane's the greatest footballer in the world, Tottenham should be very lucky they've got him, which we all thought was a bit of kind of brinksmanship, right?
Yes.
But it turns out that it started with Pochettino saying that he thought too much money was being spent in the transfer market.
Yeah.
So when they put that to Conte, he then came back and appeared to have a go.
That's right.
At what you said, which was unsettling Harry Kane.
That's right.
But that might not now be the case. It might be Pochettino who's now putting it about. And he's playing the mind games.
Well, absolutely. I mean, most of the headlines tomorrow are about the fact that Maurizio Pochettino said Chelsea new boy Alvaro Morata bottled a move to White Hart Lane because he knew that Harry Kane was a better striker.
That's what I'm saying.
And he would struggle for his place.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I'm just endorsing what you've said. That's what people will be reading tomorrow morning.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, and so there's now going to be a bit of needle, I would say, between Spurs and Chelsea.
Yeah, definitely.
Wouldn't you say?
I would say so.
Now, I've got a couple of tweets.
We like needle.
We do like a bit of that, yeah. Look at the light says this. Kloppy, really? Not Mr. Koeman or Mr. Mashiri, but Kloppy. Hashtag inconsistent.
No. I just think that, one has to...
what
do you call him?
Well, you call the manager of Everton Mr. Koeman, right? But you call the manager of Liverpool Kloppy.
Yes.
There's a bit of inconsistency there.
Well, no, because I feel I should show more respect to the manager of the team that I've supported all my life than the manager of
So you show me
team.
no respect? Well, you said you show him no respect.
You show me no respect. No, I'm just being colloquial.
Listen, I'm not picking you up on it. It's other people that are doing it.
Okay.
I'm just letting you know.
Well, I wish they'd mind their own business.
Similarly, well, they can't really mind their own business while listening to you on the radio. That's a very, very small-minded attitude to take.
It is,
Sean says, Porky, JP and the other caddies don't just, in your words, carry the bag, you ignorant oaf. Proves how little you know about golf.
No, I know loads about golf, mate.
That's very harsh.
But nobody's ever explained to me properly what the true value of a caddy is, and the only person who can explain it is the golfer himself. Do you remember Ian Woosnam had a caddy once who, for many years, appeared to be okay, but then put the wrong number of clubs in the bag when he was leading the Open.
Oh, that's right, 15 clubs instead of 14.
Yeah, when he's leading the Open, right, which goes wrong. But then, just to compound that, the very following week, when he was in another tournament, the bloke overslept. And had the key to the locker.
A bit of bladderation involved.
Yeah, he had the key to the locker in which Ian Woosnam's clubs were stored, and Ian Woosnam had to kick the door of the locker in to get his clubs out and find a spare caddy at the last minute.
You do get the feeling that in the days when Ian Woosnam was winning green jackets and winning a lot of majors, that there was quite a lot of time spent in the 19th after the game. I don't think he was a man...
I think Ian Woosnam only won the Masters, didn't he?
Yeah, but he won the Masters, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you mean he only won the Masters?
Well, I think you said lots of majors, but I think of the majors, he only won the Masters.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I'm sure he must have won the Open a couple of times.
No, he didn't. No.
Really? Well, anyway, he was certainly at the top of his game.
Yes, he was. He was winning tournaments all over the world, but I think he only won one.
But he was certainly a player, I think, that played quite well on the 19th hole as well.
Well, he lived down in... either Jersey or what's the other island near to Jersey? It's tax advantageous.
Right.
Jersey and
the Isle of Man.
Guernsey.
Oh, and
Jersey and Guernsey.
And Guernsey.
He lived in one of those.
And Sark.
And Sark.
Where the Barclay brothers live.
Well, that's right, yeah. Who have issued a statement today denying that they're interested in selling the Daily Telegraph.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, that's
really?
right.
I'll tell you what I actually did do today, and I put out a tweet saying, this is not news, this is a shameful a piece of PR being put out by the Telegraph. They put out this ridiculous story about these 4 priests in Cardiff who went to a pub in Cardiff.
7.
Or was it 7?
7.
Went to a pub in Cardiff and refused entry on the grounds that the guy outside thought they were in fancy dress and/or had a stag do.
A stag do, yeah.
The story then goes on to say, but after about 5 minutes of chatting, they realised it wasn't a stag do and they let them in.
Yeah.
So where's the story?
Well, no, it's quite a good story.
It's a rubbish story.
No, it happens in Cardiff all the time. There's a seminary in Cardiff.
Well, it doesn't happen all the time, otherwise they wouldn't be writing about it.
Well, which teaches Catholic priests how to become a priest. You see what I mean? Trainee priests. And 7 of them went across the road to celebrate one of their number actually qualifying.
Yeah, I know what happened. I read the story.
But the point is, they were drinking the Reverend James Bitter, so everybody thought it was a wind-up.
No, but that's why it's a PR stunt.
Yeah.
Because the story then says they were drinking the Reverend James Bitter because one of them was called Reverend James. Ho, 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 isn't that funny? Well, it's not funny. It's a PR stunt. They weren't refused entry. They were allowed in. They are drinking the Brains beer.
Yes.
So it's a PR plant story.
No, well, I don't think it is because, you see, what happened is they all went in and then one of the barmen thought this is a stag do and he pointed out no stag do's and was ushering them out.
No, they weren't allowed in by bouncers on the outside, supposedly.
Well, OK, the version I got was that they got in but then they were ushered out. But then the boss, who was smarter than the average bear, said, "Can I just feel your cassocks, please?"
No, what?
Yeah, can I
Where are you
feel
getting
your
this from? This is now your.
No.
This is your sort of embroidery of the story.
No. So he felt the cassock and he said, "This is made of very good material. It's
Rubbish.
not nylon. This is you didn't
rubbish.
get this from a joke shop."
See, this is why.
And they said, "No, we're priests."
No.
They said, "Are you sure?"
No.
He said, "Yeah, okay, you can come back in." And then bought them a round of drinks.
And then bizarrely found out that one of them was called after one of their beers.
No.
I mean, it's just a PR stunt.
No, it was just Reverend James Beer. I didn't know one of them was called after the beer.
Yes, they were. Well, one, you didn't read the story properly because you made some of it up.
No.
2, you haven't been able to see through how it was a PR stunt. This is the trouble with modern journalism. Surely you should be a bit more proud of your craft than that.
I am.
Well, how can you not see through it? That used to be your job.
I don't think it was the case. Listen, I've got something amazing to tell you.
Have you?
Remember earlier I mentioned North by Northwest?
You did.
The Cary Grant film?
Yes.
Well, you will not believe this, but...
Probably I won't, no.
In a publication which will drop on people's doormats tomorrow morning, the review in the paper tonight is the latest production in Bristol of...
What? North by Northwest?
Yes.
What do you mean, the latest production?
Well, it's the latest, it's a new production of North by Northwest.
Well, you mean a stage production?
Stage production.
How are they going to get the plane shot in?
Well, I don't know how they do that.
That's going to be quite
difficult. What they do is they take it into the provinces, right? It's from our old friend Quentin Letts. The first night review, North by Northwest, Theatre Royal, Bath.
Oh, there you go.
Right, where you used to live.
Very nice part of the world.
Hitchcock hit that's heading in one direction up. And that is amazing. I must be psychic to have been talking about that film earlier.
Why does that make you psychic?
Well, to see that there's a review in one of tomorrow morning's papers saying that, North by Northwest is the latest theatre production, which is coming to the West End soon. I must be psychical.
No, psychical, maybe, not psychic.
Yeah.
By the way, do you know the guy Diamond that we were talking about earlier, who was Rory McIlroy's mate?
Yes.
Do you know what he made his money doing?
Go on, tell me.
He's a successful pub owner. According to the Belfast Telegraph.
Is he?
Yeah.
Good for him.
So, I mean, you might get a bit of the old touch of the Ian Woosnam caddy problems.
You might,
there.
yeah. I forgot to tell you about Ian Woosnam. So somebody went down to Jersey to interview him, right? A big golf interview and all that.
Yeah.
And he plays golf on his snooker table when he's had a few sherbets.
Does he?
Yeah.
How does he do that?
He stands on the edge of the snooker table, and he's obviously got a putter, and he's got his
I see.
And he knocks it into the
holes. Into the holes.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
This is Talk Sport.
Yeah.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
You gotta speed it up, and then you gotta slow it down. 'Cause if you believe that a love can hit the top, you gotta play around. And soon you will find that there comes a time for making your mind up. You gotta turn it on, and then you gotta put it.
I was rather hoping we'd never have to play this song again.
Yeah.
But sadly, there is some news that you'd like to bring us, right?
Yeah, 36 years on, a new album from the
Dear
Eurovision
God.
Song Winners, fizzing back.
36
Yeah.
years on.
Yeah.
Why, for heaven's
The
sake?
group known as The Fizz.
Yeah. Well, I never knew it was that.
Yeah, the Fizz.
The Fizz.
Yeah, it's like The Gazza, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Fizz and all that. Are releasing their first album since 1986. They've changed their name because of a legal row with Bobby G.
Really?
The only member of the original lineup not involved in the new project, but who still performs as Bucks Fizz with other singers.
Well, hang on, there's only 4 of them, right? So one of the 4 is not actually the original one then? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what it says.
Well, that's not very good,
Here
is
are
it?
Jay Aston.
Yeah.
New member Bobby McVeigh.
Bobby McVeigh.
Bobby McVeigh.
Veigh.
V-A-Y.
Oh, right.
Yeah, funny spelling.
That is funny.
Cheryl Baker and Mike Nolan.
Cheryl Baker and Mike Nolan are the 2 I remember.
Right, now
what was the other woman's name?
Cheryl Baker and Jay Aston.
Jay Aston.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, they're coming back as The Fizz because the other guy has apparently acquired the name of Bucks Fizz.
Oh, yeah.
Bobby G.
Oh, so they can't be Bucks Fizz?
No, they're not.
going to be The Fizz?
They're The Fizz.
That's ridiculous.
They're The Fizz, yeah.
Why don't they just call themselves the other word for Bucks Fizz? Mimosa.
A mimosa, that'd be a great
That'd be
idea.
more sensible, wouldn't it?
That's right. Do you remember we went into that pub at King's Cross Station, and I said to the guy,
This was on our way to Newcastle, wasn't
it
it?
was on the way back. It was
Oh,
when
way
we got
back,
off the train on the way back,
Yeah.
and we felt we'd had a great show and all
Yeah.
that. So I said, a couple of Bucks Fizzes, please. And the guy was Spanish, and he said, mimosa.
Mimosa.
I said, no.
Which
no.
was an American drink,
Yeah.
as far as we knew.
Yeah, that's I said, no, Bucks Fizz, please.
Yeah.
Bucks Fizz is mimosa. I said, I don't want a mimosa. I want a Bucks Fizz. How many times have I got to tell you? And he said, what? I said, champagne with orange juice in it. Mimosa.
Mimosa.
Don't
yeah.
keep saying a mimosa.
Yeah.
I didn't realise it was another name.
Yes, I know. Well, never mind. It was quite early in the morning.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Not to worry.
Yeah.
So why on earth do they think there's a market for 2 versions of Bucks Fizz?
Well, I don't think they do. I think that... I mean, it happens all the time, doesn't it? You know, a couple of members of... I think didn't the Bay City Rollers have the same problem?
Yes, they
the
did.
Rollers and,
well, they did, but in the end, they had to all get back together so that they could. So they all just got themselves back into one band.
That's right.
I mean, a lot of them do. We saw that guy from Spandau Ballet put out a statement the other night, didn't we?
Yes,
saying he's no longer going to be
right,
associated
Tony Hadley, was
with Spandau Ballet, and everybody went, well, so what?
Except the group who thought they'd made it up and then didn't realise there was a problem until he walked out again.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I suppose the answer is that, everybody's got to earn a living, isn't it?
It's true. You're quite right about Ian Woosnam, by the way. He only won the Masters. He came second in the US Open. He came third in the Open here.
Yes.
Twice.
Yes.
And came sixth highest in the PGA.
Yeah, that's right.
That's amazing. I would have said he'd won about 3 or 4 majors.
No, I knew he'd only won the
Interesting
green jacket.
one here. Where it says, from Jason, Woozy lived in Jersey when I was there. He was barred from a few of the pubs. Hashtag bladderation.
That's terrible. I'll tell you a story about Jersey, actually, funny enough.
I've never been to Jersey.
Remember our old colleague, Michael O'Flaherty?
Yes.
Well, Mike was a reporter in Fleet Street at the height of the misbehaviour.
Yes, indeed.
Sort of decade, you know
well,
what I
he
mean?
became
sort of
a
70s,
teetotaler,
80s.
didn't he? You're talking about before he was a teetotaler.
Well, in the end, he had to become a teetotaler because he would have died.
Well, by the time I came back to work for the Express and I got to meet him, he wasn't drinking.
Oh, wasn't he?
No.
Oh, well, that's interesting because in an earlier incantation, Mike deliberately courted a nurse who worked in a specialist liver unit.
Oh, yeah.
So she could, this is no joke, so she could steal these very expensive drugs from the drugs cabinet, and then before they went out drinking at night, she injected him with these drugs into his liver. Yeah.
What, so that he wouldn't do himself any harm, or what?
No, so that his liver would last the night, so they could go on this heavy drinking spree.
He was the guy, right, who, together with Tom Smith, was sent to cover some event or other. You might remember this, because it was before my time.
Oh, and the bread roll fight.
Yeah. And it was the chairman's sort of pet charity or something. My Lord Stevens.
That's right, yeah.
And the two men from his newspaper who were covering it ended up having a massive fight in front of the stage.
They were fighting other people. They got very drunk.
Were they fighting each other?
No. They got very drunk before they went in. And then when Lord Stevens' speech started going on a bit, Mike threw a bread roll at him. The boss of the company. Multi-millionaire publisher. And bounced off his head. And when some acolyte came over and was trying to throw Michael Flaherty out. Tom got up and punched him, to leave him alone. He's my colleague.
Quite right, too.
But no, the story I was going to tell you about Mike. Mike ended up, by the way, because he couldn't drink, he wanted to find something else to do. So he went to Africa to do voluntary service and then married.
Yeah, did he not end up marrying a local girl in Zambia or something like that?
Married a girl aged about 22 who was the daughter of some, tribal chief.
Yes.
And lived in, a very basic kind of hut type thing,
that's where he died.
That's where he died, yeah. But I mean, an extraordinary man, Mike. I think he was married about 6 times.
Yeah.
He just couldn't, stop falling in love with women. And he fell in love
and
with
also, he's one of these
hostesses.
guys, and I could tell this from when I started becoming quite friendly with him, that he had one of those, you can imagine as a drunk, he would have the red mist would come down, and he would just go mad.
Yeah, he would.
He was quite a nice sort of character when he was sober.
Oh, he was so charming. He used to charm women, like you charm birds off the trees and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, if people like John Ellison, who was the rather ogreish and duplicitous foreign editor, if he did Mike down by not sending him on a job or sending him on a bad job, which he came back from, angry and annoyed and irritated, he'd go into Ellison's office and swear at him and throw drinks over him and all sorts of things. Yeah. But on this particular occasion in Jersey, they went off to find some millionaire, who's the subject of some story. Yeah. And Mike was usually too intoxicated in those days to remember what he was doing, why he was there. And they were booked into a 5-star hotel. And he got back from a night out. Mike smoked incessantly in those days.
Yes.
And I think he might have been working with Tommy Smith or somebody else. He said, I better get to bed. Oh, I'll get you on in a minute. And he sat down on the couch in the foyer. Right. And he lit a cigarette and fell asleep and woke up. The couch was on fire. No, really, the couch was on fire. And the night porter, said, "Oh, what's going on?" He said, "I don't know. It wasn't my fault. The couch is on fire." Yeah, right. So I can see the couch is on fire. What are we going to do? Right. He said, "Get me a fire extinguisher." Right. There isn't any. So Mike and this porter opened both front doors, carried this couch out, and threw it over the promenade into the sea, and never told the owner of the hotel
that the couch
what happened to the couch.
Stolen.
No, that's
How
right.
funny.
Yeah.
Now, you won't believe this. Now, you sometimes say these things to me.
Yes.
How about this from somebody who calls himself, his name is Rich, I believe, but he works for a security company.
Right.
And he said, it was Euro 2000 that Mike Parry and co went to the red light district as I was working security on the TalkSport bus, and I escorted them.
Really? That's incredible. I didn't go.
Didn't you?
No, seriously, I didn't go. I mean, I wasn't interested. The guys had gone off to find something or do something or something. I was doing breakfast the next day, and I said, I'll leave it with you fellas, a couple of quiet beers in the bar. But they came back with some extraordinary stories, I have to say.
Yes. Yeah. So you may not have got it wrong that many of them partook in something they shouldn't have done.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Here's one from Fergal, and we think we've already answered this question, Fergal, but he says, Mike, has Porky got an opinion on Liverpool's fantastic performance in Munich tonight? I'm sure if it was Everton, we would have been informed.
Well, I think it's a pretty outstanding result to go to Bayern Munich win 3-0. If it was the Champions League, which of course Liverpool are competing in this season, it would be very impressive indeed. I'm not demeaning the result because it looks great on paper, whichever way you look at it. I do think that Bayern Munich, there are signs that they've been in decline for a couple of years now, and
they've been quite static in the. You talk about people not buying people in the transfer market. I mean, they've been quite static in the transfer market, haven't they?
Yes, they have. Yeah, and I'm not knocking it. I mean, I wish we'd finished fourth, and they've got the chance now for a Champions League campaign. And I wish them well, as I do any English team, any British team, actually, that competes in Europe. Because, of course, Celtic are at it this week as well, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
But they got a 0-0 draw at home, so they've got a slightly more difficult task. Because you're hoping that Everton won't have a problem, of course, haven't you?
Well, I'm hoping so. 1-0 victory, kept a clean sheet, no away goal for the opposition. Fingers crossed, I think we'll be okay.
And still, I mean, on the subject of football, since we've got a little bit of a moment here, I was again hearing today that Gylfi Sigurdsson's probably going to go to Everton.
Yeah.
However, still no word on Ross Barkley and where he's going to end up.
No, there's still plenty of tittle-tattle talk that it's going to be Spurs and that Pochettino actually has a role in mind for him. But, I'm washing my hands of that now. I don't care because it's an irritation to everything that's going on. What I did hear, funny enough, about Gylfi Sigurdsson...
Yeah.
is that the fee, instead of going up above the 40 Everton have offered, has gone down to 35.
Really?
The offer.
What, the offer has?
Yeah.
Why would that be?
Well, I think, there's a bit of horse trading here going on all over the place, and I think Swansea are definitely banking on the money from that transfer for their own...
But they rejected the 40 million, presumably, on the grounds that it was too low.
Yeah, they did.
So why would you go down?
Well... some ways you can trade like this. You say it's 40 million and the other people turn it down. Then Everton's... I'm not saying this has happened. I'm not saying this has happened. But I've seen this happen before in transfer negotiations.
Yeah.
So then the buying club say, that's our last offer of 40.
Yeah.
We're now offering you 35.
Yeah.
And then... Swansea say, and the selling club, let's call it the buying club and the selling club. The selling club then say, well, that's preposterous. We told you wouldn't take 40. Why would you take 35?
Yeah.
You've got 72 hours to consider 35, and then our offer will be 30.
Right.
And
so
that's
you
the way
just sort of play hardball. It's a bit like buying a house, isn't it?
Yeah.
I suppose, in that situation.
Yes. Yeah.
Providing there are not an awful lot of other buyers.
Well, the thing is...
That's all right. But if there are other buyers, not so good.
That's exactly right. You've got to do your intelligence properly. Yeah. And Everton may have found out that he doesn't suit any other club and nobody else is prepared to pay even 35. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they brought their offer down to 35.
There must be a belief in the market at the moment.
But I don't know that's happened. I'm saying that I've seen that happen before.
But it could also be as well that there's a belief in the market, in some quarters of the market, that because so much money is being paid for what you might regard as not stellar players, that some selling clubs are thinking... They're rubbing their hands and saying, we could cash in massively here.
Yeah.
And if you're a buyer, you're going, well, hang on, that's not fair. And actually, we're going to lowball you.
And not only that, but the realisation might be taking place that some players are very overvalued. I mean, Everton might think, although I have no information that this is true, they might think they might have overpaid for their goalkeeper. A 23-year-old, 30 million pounds.
Maybe.
They might think, well, hang on, are we getting all, locked into a wages transfer spiral here? I don't know. I'm speculating.
Yes, well, it's a very possible... I wonder what the Sunderland preparations are going like, by the way, ever since that defeat from Celtic 5-0 at the weekend.
But we'll talk about that in a minute.
We will talk about that in a minute.
Mess that
we
club
will
is.
talk about that, as we will Who Are You, who was back in the news at the weekend as well. This is Talk Sport.
Flaring up a G-Funk, sipping on juice and gin. Just me and a friend, feeling kind of groovy, working on a movie. Yeah, right.
But we did nothing. Absolutely buckets that day. And I'll say, what the hell am I doing drinking in LA at 26?
Should I admit why?
Yeah, mighty
interesting, I reckon.
Imagine you like me when you saw that old the Mooch was being frog marched out for the White House.
Unbelievable.
Less than 11 days after having been appointed, with great fanfare. Exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
You were probably as shocked as I was, and I had to do a double take. However, since that time, obviously, Mr. Kelly has been put in charge. He's decided that he's the guy that is going to now be the guy that runs the White House. Donald Trump has denied that the White House is in chaos. Let's talk to Sandro Minetti, who's our man in the US of A, to find out what the latest is. Sandro, very good morning to you.
You know, the White House is a circus, and Donald Trump is its ringmaster. That's my view of things.
Well, it does look like that, and I mean, certainly, I've been enjoying, as many people have, I suppose, on social media, lots of the sort of the side shows going on, like you know, a list of things that last longer than 11 days. The first one of which was yogurt, which I thought was rather good, and just the idea that suddenly, as every guy gets fired from the White House, a new guy appears. How long before Piers Morgan turns up as the chief of staff?
Well, you know, the two Mikes are 20-1 to be the new White House communications.
Well, Mr.
director.
Parry does have some experience in
Exactly.
the PR
The dark
area.
arts.
Yeah, the dark arts. Yeah.
You know, I think you're overqualified actually for this job.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. I mean,
it seems to be that Trump, you know, appoints his mates or people he's seen on television. So the new favourite to be White House communications director is Bill Shine, who used to be one of the senior executives at Fox News. Now, Trump seems to watch Fox News around the clock. It seems to inform a lot of his statements and policies. Now, Bill left Fox News under something of a cloud. There was allegedly a culture of sexual harassment at that station, and you know, the chief of the station, Roger Ailes, who passed away last year, was involved in that. Was involved in the allegations. So was Bill O'Reilly, the highest-paid star presenter. And Bill Shine, as an executive, left in the middle of all that. So tainted by controversy, which makes him perfect as the new favourite to enter the White House as the new communications director.
He certainly does. But, I mean, I wonder whether it'll all get better now, Sandro, because this guy, John Kelly, has arrived, OK? Now, he's a retired US Marine general. Apparently, Donald Trump has always been influenced by the presence of military men ever since he was sent to a military boarding school when he was 10 years of age. I mean, can he finally sort of, you know, get hold of a few people's collars and pull them apart and get some discipline into the place?
Well, it certainly needs to be run with military precision. At the moment, it's being run right like a sitcom. In fact, the executive producer of Veep, which is the Emmy-winning comedy about political life in Washington, says that all storylines seem unfunny compared to the real thing. He complained that it's like there's a rival sitcom, which is actually a reality show. So John Kelly is the next in line to have a go. Well, let's see if he lasts longer than 11 days.
Yeah.
An extraordinary story in the Times here this morning as well, which I don't know whether you've seen, Sandro, which is about an email anarchist, a hoaxer, basically, from Manchester, who's been having all sorts of communications with lots and lots of interesting people at the White House, including Donald's younger brother, Eric, Jared Kushner, of course, the Homeland Security Advisor, and, of course, the man himself, Anthony Scaramucci, just before he left. This guy's been able to breach White House security, get personal emails from these people, and have conversations with them about all sorts of ridiculous stuff.
You know, Donald Trump was elected in a surge of popularity, wanting an outsider. So he brought in a whole bunch of outsiders with him. But you need a political machine in place who are used to basically the day-to-day operations of government and keeping out random sort of emailers or hackers from around the world. But there's so many jobs at the White House and in the administration unfilled. 6 months in, we're talking of hundreds of positions. So there just aren't enough people to do the normal checks and balances. And that's responsible for the problems we're seeing now. So Kelly, his very first act was to get rid of Scaramucci. And, you know, he certainly needs to tighten things up there because it's a national embarrassment and an international joke.
Sandro, if I've got this right, this guy, not only, you know, his language was appalling to a journalist and all that, but he actually initiated the whole thing by ringing New Yorker magazine just to have a chat with them about his new job, and then came out with all the expletives and how everybody, was living off the president and all this kind of thing. He was so confident president, he had a long career at the White House. He sold his own business, which I think was some sort of a hedge fund, for 150 million quid to the Chinese. And part of the reason why he may have gone, I'm told, is because the Chinese paid vastly over the odds for this business because they thought they were going to then have an into the White House through Mr. Scaramucci being the communications chief. So to say it's all gone badly wrong for the mooch is an understatement.
A communications chief with no media experience. It's less than one. You say to the journalist, this is off the record. He never said the words, this is off the record, which is a rookie mistake. But you've put a rookie in charge of the press operation. This was always going to happen. As a result, he called the outgoing chief of staff mentally unstable. And what he said about chief strategist Steve Bannon is too vulgar even for this program.
Well, indeed.
It is,
absolutely right.
And this is a family show.
Although it could be accurate, knowing what we know about Bannon. But the extraordinary thing is nobody's really giving Donald Trump, I'm sure over there they may be, but here, I think because people are just kind of incredulous at what's going on, nobody's really giving Trump a hard time by saying, well, what on earth are you thinking picking this guy out of nowhere, a Wall Street sort of, supposedly attack dog who was going to make it much more difficult for people to take on Donald Trump and the administration because he was going to fight them all away.
They are giving Trump a hard time over his possible involvement or otherwise in his son's statement about meeting the Russian lawyer who claimed to have damaging info about Hillary Clinton. The White House now admitting that he did have something to do with the drafting of that statement, even if it was only supervising and looking over the shoulder. The Washington Post reporting that he actually dictated it, which is something different. And the discussions that are going on is what will be the thing that blows down this house of cards? What will because it just seems to be cruising towards destruction at the moment, because the news cycle used to be, one story out of Washington a week, maybe, if you're lucky. Right. Now there's like 4 a day.
Yeah, but you say it's collapsing, Sandro, and all that, but I mean, this is the way that Trump has run his business empire for the past 35 years.
Chaos theory, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. If it's all chaotic and bouncing around, and yet, the president can still step forward and say a record day on Wall Street, record number of jobs in the United States.
Wall Street loves him.
Yeah, exactly. America is great, and then everybody looks at the figures and thinks, well, because they haven't got time to concentrate on politics because they're all squabbling inside the White House, maybe the country runs itself better without a specific and determined leader.
Wall Street may love him, but it wasn't Wall Street that got him elected. It was Main Street. It was the ordinary people in the USA who thought that, jobs were shipped overseas and, their children were going to have a worse future than they'd had. And he offered hope, but he never seems to talk about jobs or urban development. It's all other things. So while Wall Street loves him, if he wants to get re-elected, it's got to be Joe Public. And so, he can hold a few rallies every now and then, but his popularity continues to crash. In fact, I think it's only the Emoji Movie which has a lower popularity rating than Donald Trump at the moment, with 3% on Rotten Tomatoes, and Donald Trump is just slightly above that.
Well, it is very odd, isn't it? I mean, and then coming up a little bit later on today, we get the next sort of chapter, I suppose, where another guy gets sworn in, former federal prosecutor, specialist in white-collar crime, Christopher Wray, who's now going to become the next head of the FBI after he fired James Comey. So you'd have to say, if you're this guy Wray, you might as well line up another job for about 28 days' time because he probably won't last a month.
Yeah, it's probably going to look good on your CV, worked at the White House for some point. But, you tended to see the White House as the ultimate job. Now it's being seen as a stepping stone to something else because, there's no job security anywhere in the world, but there's even less job security in the White House, it would appear.
Yeah, exactly right. And what about as Mike says, the country is running along reasonably well, despite whatever's going on inside the Beltway, if you like. But, he's not accomplishing much. He got a massive blow on his Obamacare thing, didn't he, from McCain?
Normally, after 6 months, a president can point to one bit of legislation, especially in the first 100 days, because that's when there's so much goodwill from the Congress to push through your agenda. Apart from a few executive orders, which were basically sort of put through by him, where you don't need any collaboration in those first few days, there is no major policy initiative he can point to. unless he points to kicking transgenders out of the military, which
But he can't do that either, can he?
There is the wall.
But apparently he hasn't. Apparently he hasn't got the power to do that either, though. It's another one of these kind of tweets that he puts out, but actually means nothing.
Well, the chief of the chief of the general staff has already said they're not doing it, hasn't he?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It goes point about, well, he used to run his business like this. Well, he may well have done, but a country does not run in the same way as a business. And, there's lots of other people who need to say yes, other than the CEO, before things get done. And that's what's causing him the frustration. That's what's perhaps causing him to lash out on Twitter. But, he's acting like someone who thinks there's no legal comeback for any of this stuff. And, certainly, I think the potentially most damaging thing could be the involvement in the Russia negotiation, getting people, getting Comey out. And this whole sort of obstruction of justice thing. Yes, he can ride roughshod over policy. But when you're talking to legal issues, that's where he's really dancing in dangerous waters. Good thing.
It's going to be a fascinating rest of the year, I dare say.
Certainly is.
When he gets around to his 1 year anniversary, lots of people are going to be quite surprised. Sandro, thank you very much indeed. We'll be talking to you again soon about some of the other celebrity stories over there. But I mean, Trump is now sort of the top celebrity in America, I suppose.
In the world.
It's like the reality TV show that nobody could ever script.
Yeah, and that look
You're fired.
That look of sort of, that mysterious look on his face. No, to look of why is everybody so surprised at what I'm doing? I'm the president. I do what I want to do.
Well, do you know the day that the mooch was fired?
Yes.
He wrote, "What a great day for America."
That's what I'm saying. And then he produced all those figures that I was rattling on before about Wall Street, jobs.
But he's obviously got a sense of humour because he didn't do it in two. He did it all in bits.
That's right. Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah. Absolutely amazing. We are the two mics. This is Talk Sport.
Scaramouche.
Crazy, but that's how it goes. Millions of people living as ho.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. Got lots of great tweets to catch up on. Velvet Ears says this: Catholic priests are referred to as father, not reverend. #Plantgate. Well, that's a very good point.
Yeah, but they're
Catholic
not fathers until they've qualified, and these guys
they're not referred to as reverends either. No. And now that I've seen the way some of the papers have treated this story, which has got them sitting there in the pub with a pint of Brains beer, with the word Brains written very prominently on the glass, I'm even more convinced. I'll tell you who this has come. I bet you this has come from Wales News. And Tom Bedford, the guy that used to be one of the great agency sort of operators in the world. And he was a fantastic guy at operating, shall we say, making stories work for Fleet Street.
Very cynical.
Not at all. I know Tom very well. I'm sure he won't object to me saying that.
Now, you know what a state the educational system is in this country?
I certainly do.
I mean, look at the students, all go and vote for Mr Corbyn because he says he'll wipe out their student loans. And
now he's not.
Now he says, well, I'm not sure I did say that. And if I did, I can't do it anyway because there's enough money around.
Right.
So,
they also have been done before because they voted for Nick Clegg on the same basis.
Yeah, that's right, and he put it up to 9,000 a year. Yeah, that's great, yeah. And if
these are supposed to be the brightest brains of the generation.
That's right. And if Mrs May had waited one more week to have the election, all the students would have gone home anyway, so they wouldn't have all voted en masse for Mr Corbyn.
She's even thicker than they are.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. By the way, did you see those pictures of Angela Merkel today?
I didn't know.
She's on a walking holiday as well, same as Mrs May.
Oh yeah,
and she's in a like a chairlift going up a mountain to walk, not to ski, because there's no snow around this time of year,
Well, there is at the very high levels, like the Matterhorn and all that.
Yeah, but not in Germany at low level, you know what I mean?
Well, there wouldn't be, no.
Well, why would she go up the top of the Matterhorn?
She might be looking for the snow, I don't know.
Might be, yeah. But anyway, her face is so miserable, it's unbelievable.
Well, she's not a happy-looking woman, is she?
It looks old, she looks flabby-faced, old.
Well, that's a bit harsh.
Well, I'm just...
you're being very, very harsh.
No, she looks like she's got the worries of the world, within her soul, to be honest.
I mean, it's not the best place to be at the moment at the centre of the European Union, is it? Where everything's going horribly wrong. By the way, we'll talk about this later because I know you've got other things to say. This massive nightmare scenario looming for me of all these EU airports being completely and utterly gridlocked because they haven't got enough people working there.
4 hours to wait to get in and get through passport
control.
We'll
get to that later.
Yeah, but anyway, so I look at what's happening in the student world, okay, and I find this. Students of some subject at British universities receive the equivalent of 26 hours of one-to-one tuition during their 3-year degree.
26 hours of one-to-one tuition. OK, well, that doesn't sound particularly outrageous to me.
What?
Well, do you think that's a lot?
only 26 hours in 3 years.
Oh, well, that's 1-to-1. That means one person with one person. That means one tutor with one
but
student.
hang on. Work that out.
What?
That's 8 hours a year.
Right.
Right?
That's fine. Why does it need to be any
What?
more than that?
In
Well,
three terms, that's twice or 3 times a term.
Yeah.
A term lasts 10 weeks.
Yeah.
What do they do for the rest of the time?
Well, they have lectures.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
No.
You've made a complete rick of this.
No.
You know so little about further education and higher education that you don't know how it works.
Listen to this. On average, economics undergraduates receive 26 hours of one-to-one tuition over their course. Some students, get this, have as little as 4 hours in 3 years.
That's fine. That's 1-to-1.
History students
that's not lectures.
fare a little better with an equivalent of 33 hours one-to-one. Over 3 years, that's 11 hours a year.
Yeah, but that's not the lectures, though.
I work 11 hours in one day.
No, you don't.
I can work 11 hours in one day.
No, you don't.
And these lazy bums are just getting 11 hours of one-to-one in a year.
Now.
In a year.
You're just shouting now because you made a massive cock-up.
No, I have not.
We're not including in that figure the lectures. Lectures will go on to the tune probably of about 10 to 12 hours a week.
Rubbish.
What do you mean rubbish?
Rubbish. They don't do that much work a week.
Of course they do.
Rubbish.
They spend time in the library. They spend very little time with one person, their tutor. Like you said, something like 8 hours a year or something like that. That's all they need. The rest of their time is involved in studying and in having lectures, which is one person speaking to about 35 people.
Yeah.
Right?
Contact hours between academic staff and students more generally have stayed roughly the same in recent years, but class sizes in lectures, seminars and tutorials have increased, leaving less opportunity for feedback. What a load of rubbish.
There you go.
Now,
you've got it completely wrong.
Now, let me marry this up with another story here.
Yeah, I think you better have.
Have you ever heard of the great academic institution, the University of Bolton?
Well, I'm not particularly.
Bolton University.
Not particularly, but I mean...
Well, how would you ever admit to, you went to university, where'd you go? Bolton.
Well, you went to Nottingham Polytechnic. I don't think you've got
I went to the University of the Trent.
No, you went to Nottingham Polytechnic.
Anyway, listen to this.
What's wrong with Bolton, by the way? That's about part of your sort of... you're always raving on about the northwest of England.
Bolton's nice
how
town.
Great it is.
Well, it's not exactly a massive academic institution. And the reason I say that is because the guy who runs the place, right?
Yes.
George Holmes, head of Bolton University, gets...
Well, in terms of how much money?
Salary a year?
I would say 450,000.
220.
220?
220,000.
He's underpaid.
Right, and says, we vice-chancellors are not paid enough, OK?
Not paid enough?
Not paid enough. Professor Holmes made the claims despite a £20,000 pay rise last year and a loan of almost £1 million.
A loan?
Yeah, a loan from the university to buy a home nearby set in 4 acres.
That's ridiculous.
Right?
See, that is outrageous, isn't it? I bet you get a nice house in Bolton for £1 million.
Yeah. Quoted last night, Professor Holmes says the criticism of our pay is an unfair attack. When the student loans came in, universities were even more difficult to manage. That's the justification for chief executives like me being paid high salaries.
Really?
Bolton became a university in 2004. And charges the £9,000 yearly fee, the full £9,000 yearly fee, despite one of the lowest graduate employment rates last year, just 85.9%.
Well, they've done very well giving him a place for £1 million, right? Because according to my figures here, the average price for a semi-detached property in Bolton is £142,000.
That's right.
So why does he need £1 million?
I don't know. Right.
That's outrageous.
Bolton University is ranked 125th of 129 in the Complete University Guide and 129th out of 160 for satisfaction in the National Student Survey. It's a dump.
Yes.
It's a dump. It's a pit. It's a ill-performing academic institution. And this guy, by the way, just to remind us of what a man of the people he is, poses in a picture published in Bolton in front of his Rolls-Royce.
Well, it's a vintage Rolls-Royce, I suppose.
And it belonged to his father, and his father handed it down to him.
Well, that's all right, isn't it? I mean,
no, it's not all right.
That doesn't mean he's got a massively new Rolls-Royce that costs £200,000.
I once thought of buying one of these. I saw it on a forecourt of a state of a...
It's like an old Silver Shadow or something, isn't it?
Yeah, 13,000.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, funnily enough, I had a friend in Glasgow. I had a friend in Glasgow who had one, and he was a lawyer. who wasn't a massively millionaire type lawyer, but I mean, he loved it. He said the problem with it was just getting it fixed up all the time because it's very expensive to service.
Yes, that's right.
I mean, he bought his, I think, for a similar kind of price.
That's right.
And it was lovely, very comfortable.
But did it break down all the time?
No, it didn't. But he said, but when something did go wrong, it cost a fortune to do.
That's right. Well, I think the annual service would probably cost like 10 grand or something.
Well, I think it was a few thousand. I don't think it was quite as bad as that.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of tweets for you, though. Here's one from Scottish Bully who says, you'd be lucky if Porky works 20 hours a week. He's got some cheek to have a go at people.
No.
What a plank.
I can work...
Reading journals, sitting in the pub, counting all his cash, etc.
Excuse me. I can easily work 10 hours a day.
Work.
Don't
well, I know you
worry
can.
about that.
You can. I'm not worried about it. Ian says, I'm listening live to the Two Mics in Singapore. Not a bad place to wake up in the morning. Mike Parry would melt in this heat, however.
I certainly would.
How about this one about Bucks Fizz? You might think it's a bit rude for a family show. Phil says they should have just swapped the F and the B around for the second Bucks Fizz tribute band.
Hang on, Bucks. Oh, no. This is a family show. We really shouldn't read out things like that if you don't mind.
What's wrong with that?
Right, Mark says, how did you both attain degrees in journalism? I look up to you both as a young and aspiring sports journalist.
Do you?
And that's a guy who's from Newcastle. He's a Newcastle supporter, obviously.
Yes.
Trying to make his way. And he says in another tweet here, great show as always. Can't beat a bit of the Two Mics. By far the best duo on national radio. Well, thank you, Mark. And any time you want a job, drop us a CV and we'll put it where we put all the other CVs, in the bin. But otherwise, you are a fine young man.
How did you attain your journalism degree?
Well, I didn't get a journalism degree.
No, neither did I.
No. I'm
very glad you've suddenly seen the light and decided to turn to honesty as opposed to dishonesty.
That's right.
Why didn't you? We didn't really have journalism degrees when we did it, did we?
I think they did mildly.
No, you used to do like a diploma. You used to do an NCTJ either pre-university or post-university.
NCTJ, I got a grade 1 pass.
In what?
In journalism.
Journalism what? Diploma? Diploma?
Yeah, National Council for the Training of Journalism.
Yeah, I know what it stands for.
In fact, I wonder where that diploma
is. Yeah, I wonder where it is,
it's in a frame somewhere.
It's mysteriously disappeared.
Yeah, it's somewhere.
Does it say you got a grade A pass?
Yes, it does, yeah. It says top marks and all that kind of
sure?
stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that.
Yeah, well, I wonder where it is, actually. It must be around somewhere. Maybe I've got it. But
it was in a locked room.
No, I haven't got a locked room, so I can't be in there. But I do object to, you see, when I was a student, people called us bums, because they thought that we got
you were.
Free money from... Yeah, I was, I agree. And that's why I stopped being a student, because I have no place in this world as a bum. I'm a top professional in whatever I do.
You are now. But you've just called our students today bums.
They are bums. A lot of them are bums.
So what's the difference? Between your bummery and bummery now?
Well, because... You see, I think the difference in that is that too many of them take the wrong courses.
Yeah.
Because Tony Blair decided to keep the unemployment rates down, send everybody to university from the age of 18. And I think half of all 18-year-olds...
It was a very bad idea.
...go to university.
It was a very bad idea.
And so they come out and there's no jobs.
And he turned all of these, places like the University of Bolton into massive money-making organisations.
Absolutely.
Unbelievable.
Bournemouth Technical College, which was there like 25 years ago when my sister first moved to Bournemouth, is now a vast, sprawling university over about 4 campuses. Huge tower
but luckily
blocks.
Your family makes a lot of money out of it.
Well, that's irrelevant. Huge tower blocks of, student accommodation, with ensuite bathrooms and all this kind of stuff.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, it's not being a student. It's not being a student.
Well, you can't have an ensuite bathroom if you're a student.
Well, I think it's, it's luxurious. It's not meant to be luxurious.
Okay.
You lived in an abandoned shop, didn't you?
No, above one.
Above one, yeah.
This is TalkSport. We are the Two Mics. Tweet us at the Two Mics. Emma's done just that, and she says, ugh, as a secondary teacher, hearing the pay university teachers get is a disgrace. Come to my school and be grateful, people. I think that's a very good point, because ordinary teachers don't get anything like that kind of money.
Yes.
Because they haven't got those kind of coffers and those kinds of cash coming in through the front door.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
I don't think you're paying attention.
Yes, I'm paying attention.
Okay.
Yes.
Here's one from Lythern, who says, the Two Mics, if I don't get en-suite accommodation, quite frankly, I will not be getting a degree.
If he doesn't get what?
If he doesn't get en-suite accommodation.
Oh, I see. Yeah, okay.
I think he's making fun of you.
Well, funnily enough, my family are involved a little bit in
as I was
property matters down in Bournemouth. And they did pioneer ensuite bathrooms for students.
Did they?
Yeah, quite literally.
They pioneered it?
Yeah.
What do you mean? They sold it as, come and stay with us, we'll give you a bathroom?
Yes. Very much so.
Well, why are you knocking it then?
Well, I'm not knocking it. What I'm saying is, the expectations of students these days are way beyond the expectations we had. But My family were involved in townhouses, 3 stories, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And on each floor, providing 2 bedrooms with ensuite bathrooms.
So are they been buying or building specifically sort of student-related properties?
Yes. And as a result of which, lots of students applied to use the sort of properties they were involved with.
Yeah.
And it's only in years and years afterwards that the actual official student accommodation caught on and provided facilities like that.
I see.
So,
Julian says this. My daughter's just left Bournemouth, and already she is in a good job.
Yeah.
The problem is courses like media. Too many doing it for the number of available jobs. Well, that's true.
They've got a massive media block at Bournemouth.
Well, a couple of my friends who that I've been down to visit in Dorset from time to time are both lecturers there.
Right, are they? In Bournemouth?
Yeah,
I didn't realise
journalism school. Yeah.
Oh, journalism school. Yeah, okay.
Well, they're not going to be for long because they're moving away.
Right.
Here's one from Wrong Star. It says Porky's made for a role at the White House. He should tweet Trump his CV of gerrymandering.
Well, I think that's right, don't you? Yeah.
Well, I mean, you've got some nous in that particular area.
Well,
haven't
you see, what you call gerrymandering is not what I call gerrymandering. Gerrymandering is cheating.
Like you did in the last quiz.
No, I didn't, against the rules. But the gerrymandering you're talking about is actually handling. It's handling the news.
Well, the word gerrymandering has been adopted by many of our fans.
Yep.
Because you started suggesting that I was gerrymandering the quiz. I mean, everybody knows, and some people don't know, actually, so I should tell them that gerrymandering is, in its original usage, all about psephology. It's all about messing around with elections. And it's all about rigging elections, basically.
It specifically applies to Northern Ireland.
Well, it doesn't. It applies to almost any part of the world where there is gerrymandering of constituencies.
Well, it did apply particularly because you've got to remember when Northern Ireland was partitioned, it wasn't even a whole county of the island of Ireland. It was 6 of the 9 counties of the county of Ulster, which then became Northern Ireland.
Yes.
And the word gerrymandering stuck to that, almost exclusively for a number of years.
Well, you may be right about that, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
Here's
Well,
this from Scottish Bull. He says Bath is in the top 20 of the universities in the UK. Trent Polytechnic is outside the top 50. He's just adding that in as a piece of interesting information.
University of the Trent has an extremely good reputation. I think that also has a big media school as well. But all universities have big media schools these days, which frankly gets on my nerves. Now then, is one thing that is very annoying to all motorists in this country is seeing people wandering around as though they're zombies with their phone, 2 inches from their face, when they're either talking into it or they're actually reading something or they're tweeting something, OK?
Well, some people are actually navigating as well, aren't they? Because they've got their Apple Maps on or something like that, Google Maps, and they're trying to find where to go.
Yeah.
And instead of, because my daughter makes fun of me all the time now.
Right.
She calls them Dad's directions. Because when I'm going to meet her somewhere, right, I always say to her, right, this is what you do. You come out of the tube, you turn left, you walk past this pub about 2 yards down, 20 yards down, 2 roads down the left, you turn left, and then the restaurant's there. And she goes, no, just send me the postcode so I can put it into my phone. And she thinks that my directions are ridiculous because they're so old-fashioned that nobody of her generation ever actually tells anyone where they are. Well, they just drop a pin and you say, find me.
It's ridiculous. And how would you know the postcode of a restaurant anyway? I suppose you look it up on the same machine.
Because I would put it. I'd go into the website, or I would get an email from them if I'd made a reservation.
Yeah, sure. Anyway, just to let you know that Honolulu, which is the furthest outpost of the United States, of course, the 50th
I suppose
state.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Have you ever been to Hawaii?
No.
No, I haven't either.
No, I've really got the interest in it. It's very commercial by the look of it.
Oh, I think it's beautiful.
No, I've seen Hawaii 5-0.
Yeah, well, you've seen Hawaii 5-0.
Yeah,
I don't think it's like that.
I'm sure. No, it is
like
that.
No, it isn't like that. First, for a start, I mean, it's ancient in the 70s, right? I know they redid it. Did they not remake it?
Yeah, I think they remade a bit of it, but...
Was Chin in it?
Hey, Dano, book him.
Book him, Dano. I used to like Chin. It was just a great name.
Was Chin...
he was a Hawaiian guy, but he was a detective. But his name was just Chin.
Yeah, what's the name of the big star there?
Steve McGarrett.
Steve McGarrett, yeah that's right. Yeah,
he was terrific.
Yeah, he was terrific. Anyway, what they've decided in Hawaii is that if you walk around and you're distracted by your phone, you'll be fined for jaywalking.
Yeah.
Jaywalking is already an offence in America because they don't have pavements in a lot of places.
Well, it's not so much that, but you're not allowed to just cross the road.
That's right.
I got told off, I think I've told you this story before, in Dallas. I was crossing a road, and this cop sent me back.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't crossed at the right place.
Because of the walk, don't walk sign said don't walk.
Well, it wasn't even that. I wasn't even at a traffic light where there was a walk sign.
Oh, I see. You're trying to cross a carriageway.
There was a high street, basically, in the middle of Dallas. About 4 lanes, all going in one direction. There was a gap in the traffic, so I just thought I'd cross the road. There was no cars. There was no impediment to me doing it.
No.
But I got halfway across, And he said, "Hey, Buster,
Yeah.
Get back on the other side of the road." And I was like, "Why? I'm already halfway across now." And I tried to do that thing that you do in English, which, of course, in Texan,
terribly sorry.
you don't do. No, I just said, "Look, I'm already halfway across."
Yeah.
He's like, "You want to go back? Or are you going to get a ticket?" And I went, "All right, then." So I went back.
Go back, yeah.
And he's like, "You cross up there."
Yeah.
And I went, "Oh, I'm terribly sorry."
Okay.
In as sarcastic a way as I could.
Right, well, in Hawaii, what they've done is they've introduced the distracted walking law, okay?
Yes.
They impose fines on anyone caught looking at a mobile telephone, a tablet, a laptop, or a computer video game device, pager or camera, while walking across traffic lanes in the Hawaiian city of Honolulu.
Yes. Well, I think that's ludicrously overbearing, in fact.
These people have been described by the authorities as dangerous phone zombies.
Phone zombies?
Yeah, and it's been made illegal for pedestrians to cross a road while texting, okay?
Right.
The guy who's in charge
What if
here...
you're driving a police car and you're on the two-way radio, or you're on the little device that they have in the car?
Well, it would usually be your partner in the car, wouldn't it? Because they travel around in two.
Well, they might do.
Yeah, it says... now, the guy in charge of this is a guy called Kirk Caldwell, who is the mayor, and he held a ceremonial signing of the law besides one of the city's busiest intersections, as numerous pedestrians were already violating it. He said, "Sometimes I wish there were laws we didn't have to pass, that perhaps common sense would prevail. But sometimes we lack common sense."
Well, I mean, people are very stupid, aren't they? I mean, you can never underestimate how stupid people are going to be.
Yeah.
And you just think, well, why are you doing that? I mean, I've seen people walking towards me on the street.
Yes.
And if I didn't get out of the way, they'd walk right into me.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Well, the reason is this. This same guy, Mayor Kirk Caldwell, says, "We hold the unfortunate distinction of being a major city with more pedestrians being hit in crosswalks, particularly our seniors, than any other city in this country. We've got to stop it. Offenders will face fines of $15 to $99, depending on whether it was their first, second or third offence. The measure has been approved by the City Council by a 7-2 majority vote, with the dissenters complaining it amounted to over-regulation." Now, that's what you've just been talking about.
Well, I think it sort of is.
Yeah, okay.
Over-regulation.
All right.
I've actually got a story for you, which I'm going to tell you in a moment, about something good coming out of a local council in this country.
Something good to come out of a council?
Something good, yeah.
Okay, well, let me just finish this.
Yeah.
The growing peril of mobile phone distraction has been highlighted by America's National Safety Council, who said the latest figures in 2015, a report shows 11,000 injuries on the streets and in homes in 10 years, okay, in the previous 10 years.
Right.
And CCTV footage has captured incidents such as a 67-year-old woman in Plainfield, New Jersey, falling head first through the open doors of a cellar in the street while looking at her phone. And this month,
That's ridiculous,
Albert Monina, who, a 25-year-old man, fell into an 8-foot deep pond while engrossed in a game of Pokemon Go.
Yes.
Yeah? And here, how about this? In La Crescenta, California... recently, a man was so busy texting he failed to notice the presence of a 300-pound bear which was roaming in the street in front of him towards him.
Right.
A television news helicopter captured the moment. The man finally looked up, saw the bear yards away and sprinted for 1 minute, 24 seconds to get away from him.
My God.
I mean, you sprint for 10 seconds, you cover 100 metres. How far do you think he covered?
Well, that's if you're Usain Bolt.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he was in London, actually. He's on a lot of the back pages this morning. So
well, it's his last race,
if you don't get rid of doping out of racing, out of the Olympics, the whole sport is going to be finished, basically. How about this from Dom? What is Porky on about? When I was at university, I had about 1 hour one-to-one tuition the whole time I was there.
Yeah.
And I got a first, by the way.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, old Billy Big Boots, eh? Yeah.
There you go. Congratulations, Tom. Now you've really upset him.
Yeah.
This is Talk Sport.
Yeah, brain box.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
Fantastic music, though, isn't it?
Brilliant.
One of the greatest sort of theme tunes of all time.
All it evokes in your head are rolling waves as surfers crashing on the
those weird,
Waikiki beach.
Well, for me, it's the weird rowing that they used to do with the the stabiliser bit that comes out of the boat.
Right, yeah.
And they're just kind of with the oars pushing
That's right,
away.
yeah, brilliant.
Fantastic, great show.
Polynesian.
Now, I think the remade show is still going. I think,
is it?
Because they remade it a few years back. I don't know whether it was any good. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, well, you know those great films that Mel Gibson made?
Lethal Weapon.
Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
There's now a TV series, Lethal Weapon.
Yes.
And it's just so different to
it's
the film.
It's the same characters, isn't it? Murtaugh and all that.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. But it's so different to the way the film was made,
Yeah.
that I can't watch it.
I think the first time I noticed that was on, I put it on because I thought it was the movie.
Yes.
And then realised it wasn't.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
So
I did exactly the same thing.
They've also got Fatal Attraction series as well.
They have, indeed,
Which is nothing like the film either.
No. Well, Fatal Attraction can only be a one-off incident. It can't be a series of programmes,
Well,
can
I suppose it could be.
Well, I mean, it was a fantastic film, wasn't it?
It was a fantastic film, but you can make a series out of anything. But I've got some bad news for you about the United States of America, and I'm indebted to Jackie, our fan up in Glasgow, for sending me this earlier on. You may have seen it. New York City, according to a piece in Crane's Business Week, which I used to read when I lived there, it's turning into a massive bike lane. Cyclists are now outnumbering motorists in some areas of the city. And guess what? The de Blasio administration, who's the new mayor, is apparently vowing to add 10 more miles of protected bicycle lanes, and they're going to allocate another 50 miles of lanes in regular sort of streets, because what they do there is, for example, if you remember, do you remember the West Side Highway, which comes all the way down the Hudson River?
Yeah, of course I do.
Now they've got
Pier 66 and
all that. So the right of the road now, they've got a massive bicycle lane, which is a bit like a sort of a dual carriageway for bikes, if you like.
Yeah.
And it's not just part of the road; it's actually partitioned away from the road with a massive great curb in between.
Yeah.
So I mean, because of the room they've got in New York, it hasn't made the West Side Highway any smaller.
No.
So at least the cars are still able to go.
Yeah.
But it's a completely separate, if you like, a separate sort of superhighway for bikes.
But traffic has slowed down to a crawl, hasn't it? Because of all these bike lanes.
Well,
all over the place.
traffic is very bad in New York City. It always was. But it
wasn't.
Worse now.
I remember, you say that, but I remember I could jump into a yellow cab if I came out of my place, which was on 77th, right?
Yeah.
And we'd be coming down second.
Yeah.
And it would just...
Well, it'd depend on the time, though, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, it would. But what I'm saying is, you're talking about, you're going for lunch to meet somebody or something like that.
Yeah.
And you could get down...
I suppose it wasn't too bad.
No, literally, if you're going downhill, as that was down in Manhattan, right the way down to...
say 49th or
49th or something. Well, even further, even down to 32nd or 33rd or something like that. It would take 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And blimey, those cars used to bounce, literally.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, bounce over the potholes, bounce over the metal plates.
Yeah.
The drivers would swerve in and out, miss cars in front of them and all that. And it was a thrilling ride.
Sure.
But now I'm told, and we're going to be there very shortly, and it's changed dramatically over even the last 2 years, you're just sitting in a moving traffic jam.
Well, one of the things that has affected it are the cycle lanes that have been put down.
Exactly.
So, for example, Fifth Avenue has got at least one lane, which is now dedicated only to cyclists, okay? So naturally there's a smaller amount of land for the cars to use, and there's probably more cars. And one of the things they've done is you can only cross
Is
town.
there a congestion charge in the city?
There isn't. I mean, you still have to pay a toll if you come in through certain regions.
Yeah,
if you come in the Midtown Tunnel, if you come in the Holland Tunnel, any of that stuff, you've got to pay.
Sure.
So in some senses, yes, there's a congestion charge, but the congestion is out of all control. But what I was going to tell you, which is a piece of good news about a council that's actually quite well run.
Oh, really?
I was in a place called Lewis at the weekend.
Lewis, there's a castle there.
There is a castle there, and it is technically, I believe, the capital of Sussex.
Oh, is it?
Of East Sussex, because that's where, for example, the headquarters of the police are. Because I found myself in the headquarters of the police doing a 3-point turn without realising it was the headquarters of the police.
Well done.
Thank you very much. I noticed there was a great big sort of satellite dish coming up out of the ground.
Okay.
And then I looked around and it was all barbed wire everywhere, and I suddenly realised, it's the headquarters of the Sussex Police.
With barbed wire around it?
Yeah, it was all sorts of, security...
Must be in a prison.
No, it wasn't a prison. It's the headquarters of Sussex Police.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But
I thought that was Lewis, actually. I thought Lewis was the...
Lewis. That's what I said.
Oh, Lewis.
Lewis
Castle. Oh, that's where the Crown Court is. Lewis Crown Court. That's right.
That's where I was.
That's right. Okay.
It's the capital of Sussex.
Yeah, go on.
I just told you that.
Yeah, go on.
The Crown Court is indeed there as well.
Yeah, go on.
But anyway, I went to park there. The reason we went there was twofold. One, we've never been there before, even though it's not that far away from where we live.
Yes.
And it's got a castle, so I thought that'd be quite good. And also, they've got a skate park, and kids now so into scootering.
Yes.
So we had to go and find this skate park. Anyway, so the first port of call was the skate park. Found it. Finally, it was hidden around the back of a Tesco's.
Yeah.
Found a parking spot, and it's one of those where you have to buy a ticket, right?
Yeah.
So go up to the ticket machine. Luckily, I've got some change. It was quite cheap. It was about, I think, 20p for I think it was going to be 60p for an hour or something like that.
That's good.
Or 60p for 2 hours. Quite cheap.
£4 an hour now where I live.
Yeah, well, I can imagine. Well, in London, I think it's more like £8 an hour.
It is, yeah.
£10 an hour.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I put the money in, 60p. I think I get 2 hours for that. That'll be great. Please take ticket. No ticket. Nothing came out of the machine. So I looked around at some of the other cars that were there. They all seemed to have tickets. So I thought, well, it's obviously working, but there's something wrong here. So I thought...
Could have run out of paper.
It must have run out of paper because I put another £1 in and another ticket, no ticket came out. So I had a number to ring. So I thought, right, well, I'm going to be a good citizen and I'm going to ring this number because the last time I got a parking ticket was 80 quid.
Yeah, sure.
And I didn't really want to pay that.
No.
So I ring the number and it says, this is Sussex County Council, Lewis area parking. Please press 2 if you wish to speak to somebody. So I press 2. I get another message saying, we are open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. On Monday to Friday. Saturdays are open 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. I'm afraid there's nobody here to take your call. Please leave your name and number.
What day of the week was this?
This was on Monday.
Monday?
Yeah, it's about midday, right? Okay. So I'm thinking, well, why wouldn't there be somebody there?
Exactly, yeah.
So I left my name and number, thinking no chance is anybody going to ring me. Also left my registration number, even though they didn't ask for it. About an hour later, they actually rang me back. Yeah. Which astonished me completely.
What was it like? Who rang you back?
This woman rang me back from the parking
and what did she
section.
say?
She said, oh, hello, is that Mr. Graham? She's very polite. And she said, I'm terribly sorry to hear that you had a problem. And I'd given them also the number of the location, right?
Yeah, sure, yeah. The number of the machine.
Yeah. So she asked me what had happened. I told her. And she said, oh, so are you staying there all day? And I said, well, no, not really. I said, I'm only here for an hour or so. I said, I'm not that worried about the money. I said, I'm more concerned about somebody coming and giving me a ticket, knowing, as I do, that it's not far from the police up the road. And... she said, "Oh well, leave it with me. I will pass it upstairs for you." I don't know what that meant.
No, I don't know.
But what it did mean was that at least when I came back to the car, there wasn't a ticket on it, and I presume that I'm not going to get a ticket for it. So I was just very surprised that they were terribly efficient about it.
Yeah, well, you say that, but you might still get a ticket.
Well, why?
Well, because someone might have walked around and thought there's tickets on the other cars, but not on your car. Therefore, you're a miscreant.
Yeah, well, that's why I called them. So that they would have it in their system. They would have it in their system that I was there and that I rang them, that I put money in the machine and nothing came out.
But some woman in an office, which could have been in India,
it was not. No, the office was definitely in Lewis.
Okay. So some woman in an office in Lewis, is she really going to ring the guy who is the local, warden, the parking warden enforcer, or whatever they call him these days, and say, do not put a ticket on car registration because it belongs to Mr. Graham, and he's put money in the machine, he hasn't got a ticket.
No,
I don't think that will happen.
No, I mean, it was a Brighton number, right? And the Brighton number goes into the same Lewis area because it's quite close to Brighton.
Yes.
01273 number. So I know I was talking to somebody in that area.
Yes.
And the woman was clearly from the Sussex County Council. Because she said she was.
Yes, okay. All
know?
Right. Well, I believe you.
Yeah.
So
it's always nice to tell a positive story about a council rather than a negative one.
Well, is it?
Well, why do you not see the positive side of this?
I have so many reservations about the efficiency of local authority councils, county councils, borough councils, district councils. I'm afraid I'm just not a fan. Not a fan at all of bureaucracy.
You're just not a fan of positivity. No, you're not a fan of positivity.
No, they are mired in bureaucracy.
No, you prefer to tell stories and tales of things that have gone wrong rather than things that have gone right. I'm trying to give a big up to the people who look after the parking at Lewis because I think they're doing a good job.
Believe me, the amount of waste that goes on inside local authorities and the financing of them is a scandal. It is an absolute scandal. In my view, they are massively overpopulated with people who don't do an awful lot. And those who do
not in Lewis.
are paid excessive amounts of money.
Not in Lewis. And I suspect the woman who called me is not paid an excessive amount of money. And I'd just like to thank her for doing her job.
Yes, okay. Well, she's obviously a very nice woman. Now then, have you ever heard of John Broome?
John Broome?
He was the founder of Alton Towers.
Was he?
Alton, was it called?
Alton Towers.
Alton Towers, right,
no, I don't think I have heard of him, no.
Yeah, and about...
It's not going brilliantly there, is it?
Well, they've run into a few problems like that. He doesn't run it anymore, but he was the founder of it. And about 15 years ago as well, he announced that... No, it was a bit longer, about 20 years ago, I think, because I was still on the Express. And he said he took over the Battersea Power Station.
Did he?
Site.
What, you mean the project that's currently ongoing?
The the project, which is now going to be massively successful.
So he's running all that, is he?
No, this is the point. He was going to turn Battersea Power Station. The only reason I say all this is because I've discovered that he's 74 today. And he was going to take over Battersea Power Station and turn it into a huge theme park.
Oh, was this the thing that Michael Jackson was meant to be involved in?
I don't know, but it might have been, because they had parties there, remember, to unveil all sorts of things and that kind of stuff. But he actually specified a date. He said, and on such and such a date, which was going to be 3 years later, the Battersea Power Station theme park will open, and it will be the biggest in Europe.
Really?
And I always wondered where the space was going to come from, and how was going. But of course, there's lots of space on the site because
it's a big area.
It's a big area, and it's all now very expensive.
I don't know. I can't remember if the Michael Jackson thing was connected to that.
I'm not sure, but
there was a point at which he was meant to be involved in some theme
park. It reminds me of something. Anyway, the point of my story is my famous story about working in a petrol station all those years ago when I was like 14 or 15. Yeah. A bloke used to come in a Jensen Interceptor.
I love those cars.
The only Jensen Interceptor in Chester. And the guy who drove it was a terrible smoothie. He had, smooth back
like the guy from The Good Life.
A bit like that, And he always had a bunch of roses on the passenger seat.
Oh, yeah.
And he was the only man who had an account for the petrol. The only guy who didn't pay. No, seriously.
Great.
Seriously. And his name was John Broom.
Was it him?
And it was this guy.
Was it?
And he started off as a small-time property developer in Chester.
Right.
And he was the first guy in Chester to buy big old houses and convert them into flats.
Oh, okay.
And he did it. He told me once when he came in to, buy something in the shops or thing, that he started with a £500 loan from his father.
Right.
And he became a multi-millionaire property developer. He started Alton Towers, and he was a really nice guy, terribly smooth. And I think he'd gone to Shrewsbury School. I think his father sent him to Shrewsbury or something like that.
Right.
But he was a terrific guy. And to see now, I've just caught it on the internet here, the website, when, I like to find out how old people are. 74 today.
74.
Good luck to him.
Well, there he is. I wonder what happened to the thing, which is, of course, Ask Porky, the one place where you can get one stop, really, information on almost any subject under the sun.
That's right.
All you got to do is post a question on Facebook or on Twitter, get it to us, and I will put any question which is suitable. And, of course, bearing in mind that it's a family show, reasonably, not rude.
Yes, exactly.
Which you will answer as best you can.
Exactly.
And as quickly as you can.
What you mean is decent and comprehensible.
Yes, indeed. Yes. Now, we've got lots and lots of very, very good questions.
So let's rattle through.
We should start off with them. Here's one from Stephen, which is an interesting one to start off with. Why is it not possible for a person to donate to or contribute extra money to the NHS? Why could they not have something like a TV fundraiser?
Well, I suppose they could if they wanted to. But you've got to remember, the funding of the NHS is a critical issue in this country because it's so expensive. We spend more on the NHS than we do on any other department of government and on any other facility. It's one of the biggest employers in the world. I do think that to ask people to contribute way over and above what the taxpayer already puts in would be a step too far.
Yes, I think you may well be right. Ross says, Porky, I'm off to the Edinburgh Fringe in a couple of weeks' time for a couple of days. Should I take bladderation in moderation or to take in the culture? Or should I go full steam ahead on the bladderation trail?
Well, you're going to have trouble not getting on the bladderation trail at the Fringe because when we went there last year, very successfully, sold out for 3 nights, produced an award-winning DVD. We didn't go on stage until midnight, wasn't it?
We went on, I think it was about 11 o'clock.
11:30, something like that. We finished at about, 1 o'clock, 1:30. The bars are open, and, they're open all the way around the clock.
Well,
but
they were open until about 5, weren't they?
Well, we never got home till about 5:30, and it was gloriously sort of, free and easy, and the sense of camaraderie amongst everybody there was enormous. You will have a great time.
Paul says this, I've been working hard for other people all my life. Should I set up my own business? What advice can you give someone starting a new business?
Well, you've got to believe in yourself, and if you've got a particular skill or a talent, and hard work, by the way, is a skill and a talent, so you just apply that to whatever you do, you will succeed. You can work for somebody for a long, long time. If they don't appreciate what you're doing, bin them. Go on your own, do it on your own. If you've got a talent, you will win. Believe me, don't be reliant on other people, particularly if those other people are just ignorant to your great skills.
OK. Here's one from Claire, who says, I have leave this week from work, but just found out from my ex would like our girls for 4 nights. Would you A, say no, B, let them go and cancel your leave, or C, let them go and keep your leave and party?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand what the problem is.
The problem is that she's taking some holiday, right? Because her kids are on holiday from school.
Yes.
However, she just found out that her ex, i.e. the father of the children, would like to have the girls for 4 nights.
Right.
So she's asking you, should she say no to him?
Yeah.
Should she let them go and cancel her holiday?
Yeah.
So she can take it another time?
Yes.
Or should she let them go, stay on holiday and party?
No, if I were you, I wouldn't waste your time. Time with your children is very valuable. If you've got a cordial relationship with your ex and he's only got a limited amount of opportunity to see the children, I should be gracious about it and say, OK, you take the children on this occasion, cancel your holiday, go back to work and reserve that time for you and your children at a future date.
Des says this, which day is most exciting on the calendar? Premier League kick-off, Christmas, birthday or New Year's Eve? Or possibly others?
Well, it comes from 2 different angles. Premier League kick-off day is always very exciting. We always get, I'm lucky enough to be able to go up to Goodison for that because it's a great opener against Stoke and I love all that. But Christmas Day is about family. And it's the one day in the year when I honestly think the world does slow down for a bit and you've got an opportunity to get together with your family. So I'd nominate the 2, Premier League kick-off and Christmas Day.
OK.
Birthdays mean nothing to me, by the way.
Birthdays mean nothing?
No.
What about my birthday?
Your birthday means even less.
Thank you very much. Mark says, hey, Porky, was the Barbara that you had an affair with, who you mentioned on Saturday, the wife of TalkSport colleague Graham Beecroft?
No, definitely not. Mrs. Beecroft is an extremely respectable woman and a woman of great virtue, and Beaky is a great guy, and they are a very happy married couple, and no. Definitely not.
That's fine, thank you. Cameron says, Porky, I have a dilemma. Like you, I have grey hair if I don't dye on a regular basis. I'm now in my mid-40s. When shall I bin the dye and go salt and pepper?
No, you bin it right now. It's ridiculous. Why do you want to try and look like something you're not? It doesn't matter. And anyway, grey hair's very fashionable these days, and snowy blonde hair is even more fashionable. I'd go with the flow, mate, and ditch the dye right now.
Brett says this, which idiot is more likely to cause World War III, Trump or Putin?
Neither. I think the biggest threat to World War III is the nutter who's running North Korea, because there's a Chinese aspect there in that part of the world. They've got to be very careful about what he does. And although you could say, but none of the major powers take the guy seriously, if you start triggering nuclear bombs, it can get out of control very, very quickly. Here's
one from Tarquin. Has Postman Pork been shelved? I'm missing that hilarious, terrifying jingle.
No, it has not been shelved at all. We have a pile of mail out there and parcels. It's a question of finding the time to get it up to air, but it has not. He's not dead by any means. Very popular character. Will be back very soon.
Here's one which combines a birthday shout-out. Nick says, any chance of a birthday shout-out later? I'm 30 today. Also, can the Porkmeister offer any life guidance for the next 30 years?
Yeah, 30 is a great age. Congratulations. What's the name of the chap again?
I think it was...
Yeah.
Hang on, I'll forget this back.
Well,
Nick.
anyway...
It was Nick.
Nick, congratulations.
You're not very patient, are you?
Hey?
You ask me a question and you go, well, anyway, because I haven't got it immediately
Well, I don't want to
hand.
waste any time, you see. This is a valuable feature.
Unusual, that.
And, 30 is a great age to start at. When I was 30, I was on the brink of a brilliant newspaper career, which had already started but had not yet come to fulfilment. That happened about 7 years later. Remember that you're 30 today, but in 10 years' time you'll be 40, and then it's too late to plough your furrow in life. Don't waste one single day over the age of 30.
Very good advice, that. What is your secret to being you, says Richie?
Secret of being me is just being me, to be honest. I don't pretend to be anybody else. I don't want to be anybody else. I'm very determined that I get out of life what I put into it, which is sometimes a very, very difficult thing to achieve because other people who are ignorant and unable to process what you do get in the way. But you've just got to get round them.
Now, a couple here which are similar, so I'm going to read them both out.
Yeah.
The first one from Damien. Porky, would you ever work in the White House press room?
Mm-hmm.
And David says, is it true that Porky remains the only person ever to be turned down for a job in the White House?
Well, I've never applied for a job in the White House, so I wouldn't know. I've been in the White House, been in the Oval Office and sat there with President Clinton and seen it work at very close quarters. I wouldn't want a job there because, quite frankly, I'd be on the wrong side of the fence. That's why I was only at the FA for a year. When I realised that I was actually stopping information being circulated rather than circulating information, it was time to get back onto this side of the fence. That's where I'll always stay.
Simon says this is a bit more philosophical about sport. In sport, has preparation, money, psychology, identical playing conditions, agents, managers, the PC world and the media seen genius disappear?
No. Genius is very apparent in football, and new genii will always come through. This boy Mbappe at Monaco looks like he's going to be the next great world superstar, potentially. And all the factors that you've talked about have all come about as a result of the popularity of the game, and therefore providing the pitch, I suppose, I should say, or certainly the stage, for future great players to emerge.
Josh says this, what's the most ridiculous thing you have bought?
I've bought lots of ridiculous things, but just off the top of my head, one of the ridiculous things I bought was a sandwich maker. You know, was it sandwich, what's it called? You know,
what, like a toasty?
Toasty sandwich maker, ridiculous. Hardly ever used it. One of those fizz machines, you put fizz in bottles of water, that's ridiculous as well.
I mean, some of the gardening equipment you bought
while
living in
high-rise apartments, because I was bladderated when I ordered it off the telly. A scooter. Motor scooter which I bought and it got stolen and I only ever used it about 4 times and it got nicked. All sorts of ridiculous things I've bought during my lifetime, but you know that's just a part of living.
Ali says this, tonight in our Durham local I was asked to join the darts team. I can't play darts but feel it would be a good way to embrace village life. Should I blag it like Porky has blagged his journalism career or admit my darts ineptitude and offer to be scorer instead?
No, you should join the darts team. The way you get good at darts is practice, right? I spent hours and hours and hours in front of a darts board when I was a student, you know, with a pint in one hand and a dart in the other, and I got pretty good and once beat a News of the World champion, actually, which caused a riot in my local pub.
Champion,
I did.
I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
How about this one from Roy? Which is a slightly, shall we say, mature question.
Yeah.
I've been sleeping with this woman for over a year and plan on leaving her after my birthday on the 4th. The problem is we get on very well, but she is emotionally draining. Should I stick it out for the great, sexy, fun times and deal with the drama, or stick to my plan?
Well, I think this is a very weak question, this. You're asking me to sort out your emotional turmoil between your lust for a woman and some love. Sounds like there's a bit of love in there, and the fact that, you know, as a partner of people can always be slightly emotional details. Well, emotion does crop up in relationships, you know, and you have to deal with it. Working at a relationship is very, very hard, sometimes tougher than working at your job. Stick with it.
Emma says this, my question is turquoise more blue or green?
Turquoise to me is more blue.
It's in the eye of the beholder, isn't it?
It's in the eye of the beholder. To me, it's more blue.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is that I'm thinking of a shimmering expanse of water somewhere off Mallorca where I once went years ago.
Well, you went there last year.
Yeah, but I mean, this is a different part of Mallorca. Right. And you know, looking from the headland across the water, it was turquoise. But if it wasn't turquoise, it was blue. It certainly wasn't green.
Okay. Gary says, as a postman who is turning 40 this month, I listen to you live, and what I miss, listen to on your podcast. I'd like to know what is the best way my girlfriend can ask for a birthday shout-out, because I can't think of a better present. I don't want material things, but a shout-out from my 2 favourite people would make my day. Well, I guess you're already asking, Gary, so I'm not sure.
Well, what is your girlfriend's name?
He doesn't say.
He doesn't tell us?
No.
Well, Gary the postie, if you told us what your girlfriend's name is, give her a shout-out right now.
I think it's him who wants the shout-out.
Oh, he wants the shout-out?
I think so.
What, for his birthday?
Yeah, I think so.
He said it was his girlfriend's birthday.
No, he said he wants a shout-out for his own birthday, and he's asking for the best way for his girlfriend to ask for it.
I see. Well, send us a text.
Yeah.
Send us a text, please. You know the text, it's at Mike Parry 8, isn't it?
It is.
And it's at IROMG, Independent Republic of Mike Graham. Send us a text and we will happily do it.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Craig says, will you do another cinnamon challenge? It is the best 10 minutes of my life.
No, never.
Really?
What's the point? I mean, it's a one-off. It's been shown now. I think it's been downloaded 40 million times.
40 million now?
Around the world. And what would be the point of doing it again?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Now, Pete is a guy that we helped last week.
Yes.
And I think you messaged his girlfriend to say get well soon.
Right.
He now says, I've started something now. Paige, which is the name of his girlfriend, wants to say thank you for wishing her the get well soon.
Yeah.
And wants to ask Porky for an on-air hug.
Okay, well, here we are. I'm reaching out now and I'm hugging a bit of, fresh air. But, I mean, that's you, Paige, and hope you're getting better. and we're delighted to have helped raise your morale.
Yes. Daniel says, Porky, only 1/3 of your heart works, but judging by old MG's lifestyle, only 1/3 of his liver works. Which one of you is going to last the longest? That's
good
a
question.
Personal question.
No, it's a good question, that. I don't know. The constitution of the individual is individual to that individual, if you see what I mean. So we haven't got any health problems which are going to imminently end our lives.
We're not
put
terminal.
It that way. No, we're not terminal yet.
Let's hope not.
Yeah.
Here's one from Bobo. Why is financial fair play only applicable to the buying club but not the selling club as well? Why is it that the governing body is not worried about buying clauses? Obviously, one triggers the other. Well, interesting question.
Yeah, that's not the case. Financial fair play has nothing to do with buying and selling. Financial fair play is the percentage of money you use in sales and the percentage of money you receive in sales compared to the rest of the budget of the club. But it's largely discredited now because financial fair play has almost been abandoned in the greater scene of. There's so much money in football now, and you can shift it around so brilliantly with clever accountants. Financial fair play is almost overlooked.
There's no point, is there? And one final question, one more about football.
Yeah.
Josh says, who will win on Friday night in the opening weekend of the Championship, Forest or Millwall? I know that we've got Derby, Sunderland versus Derby.
Yeah, we have got
I wasn't
Sunderland.
aware that there was another Friday night.
Yeah, well, and on that one, I think they're two clubs who are struggling to re-establish themselves with credibility. On this particular occasion, I'd have to say if they've got home advantage, it will be Forest.
Well, we shall see. Well, Millwall, of course, came up from the previous from League One, so they might have the big mo.
Yeah.
We shall see. That was Ask Porky. Same time next week, we will have some more. This is Talk Sport.
Overnights with Uber. Work or not at the touch of a button. Uber. Where to? Visit uber.com/driveuk to find out more.
Now let's get one thing straight. The Vauxhall Vivaro puts in a shift. It's a real van that doesn't flinch at a hefty load. Space to handle the big stuff with up to 8.6 cubic metres of vanliness. Bluetooth and USB connectivity and a range of efficient engines. In other words, it's a real van's van. It's...
Here you go, sir. Your hazelnut and caramel soy latte.
Oh, with sprinkles.
Certainly, sir.
Like I said, a real van's van.
Get van savvy with the Vauxhall Vivaro. Contact your Vauxhall retailer today for a quote.
Saturday mornings. Caviar with Tomo, bubbles with Mers. But some cheeky blighters want to ruin it. This Saturday, Super 6 have $1 million of my cash to give away, and it's staying that way until it's won. Predict 6 correct scores and my million's yours. Bang goes my yacht on the Hartlepool Riviera. Soccer Saturday Super 6, your Saturday morning sorted. Mine ruined. 18 plus entries must be in by 3 o'clock Saturday. T's and C's apply.
It's a summer of speculation, signings and spending sprees. As the 2017 trading season unfolds, stay ahead of all the deals with essential transfer window updates on TalkSport with Toolstation. The countdown to deadline day has started. Get the inside track on everything from the club news worth knowing to where the big money's going with the most reliable transfer roundup on the radio. It's a helping hand for real fans. Transfer window update on TalkSport with Toolstation. Your best mate for the job.
The Two Mics. Simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
Baby, you and I are not the same. You say you like the sun, I like the rain. But still before we go, do it all again. You better catch your own train. You better catch your own train.
This is TalkSport. We are the Two Mics. We'll be back with Porky Vision tomorrow, of course, and maybe a bit of listography tomorrow. So if you've got any suggestions early, you can by all means hashtag them listography and send them in at the Two Mics or put them on our Facebook page, and we shall pick a subject, which we haven't done as yet, for the show tomorrow.
That's
right.
right.
And then the Porky Quiz coming up, I suppose, at the end of the week. Bit of controversy about the Porky Quiz last Friday morning.
I don't know why.
Because some people thought that you had an incredible ability to answer the first 5.
Not at all.
But less of an ability to answer the second 5.
That's because you changed the
which
questions.
you obviously hadn't seen.
That's what you do.
I'll tell you what else I have to tell you, and I have to apologise to anyone who was watching the Porky Quiz on Facebook Live. Apparently, it cuts out after about the 6th question. and I'm not sure why that would have happened.
What was that in the quiz last week?
No, the actual live footage.
Oh.
You know, when you watch it back.
Oh, I see.
And I haven't had a chance to do that yet.
Right,
but when you watch it back, which tells you that the the Facebook Live cut out. That could be an issue with the Wi-Fi. I'm not sure.
Right.
Could be an issue with the camera.
Yes.
But we'll try and make sure that doesn't happen this week.
Right. Okay.
Any thoughts on a Porky quiz for this week?
No, I haven't.
Not yet.
I haven't quite thought about it yet.
Right.
You know.
One more birthday shout out for John.
Yeah.
It says, can I have a birthday shout out tonight? 53 yesterday. Much bladderisation last night, boys, in true Two Mikes tradition.
Yeah. Well, there you go. As long as you've got a recovery plan, that's all okay.
Yes, exactly.
Do you ever think about the amount of advertising we do for top brands just by carrying around a carrier bag that's got their logo?
Well, this was one of the arguments that people had against paying 5 pence to supermarkets.
Yes.
Because why should we pay to advertise their brand?
That's right. Yeah.
I personally don't worry too much about it,
No,
to be
it
honest.
doesn't worry too much. But the reason I ask is because I'm reading one of my consumer journals, okay?
Oh, yeah.
And apparently all the world's top brands are moving into products which have nothing to do with their original product.
Right.
But they've decided to cash in on their own name.
Yes.
So, for instance, Louis Vuitton.
Yes.
Known for luggage and
bags and all sorts of
all
things,
that
yeah.
stuff. And in fact, I've got a Louis Vuitton golf bag.
Well, we've seen that. You were
yeah.
pictured with Ian Poulter.
Exactly.
It's not really the sort of golf bag you'd want anyone to see, to be honest.
Well, to be honest, it
only holds about 4 clubs.
It does, yeah, because I have it in the back of the car. So if I go to the driving range,
it's a bit of a ladies-looking golf bag.
Well, yeah, but it's lots of people use Louis Vuitton.
No, it's not because it's Louis Vuitton. It's because it's such a small bag.
Yeah, but as I say, it's in the back of the car, and it's only got 4 clubs in it for the driving range. You know, so I don't carry a full set of clubs around with me all the time.
No, of course.
But anyway, they've now gone into manufacturing teddy bears. And they're some of the most expensive teddy bears in the world.
Why would you buy a Louis Vuitton teddy bear?
Because the whole idea is the expansionist movement now in consumerism is that you branch out into other products, like, for instance, Chanel.
Yes.
Now, what's Chanel famous for?
Chanel is famous for a lot of fashion things. You're going to say perfume.
Yeah.
But they also make bags, and they've always made bags.
Yeah.
They've also made clothes.
Yeah.
So they've been very famous for all of that. I mean, anything to do with fashion, really.
But you know what 2 of their best-selling products are now?
No.
Firstly, boomerangs.
Boomerangs?
Yeah.
Chanel boomerang?
They sell boomerangs.
Why?
They're one of the world's biggest manufacturers of
Really?
boomerangs. Yeah.
Oh, I'm amazed at that.
Yeah. And the other one is tennis rackets.
Right.
Now,
I've never seen anyone playing with a Chanel tennis racket.
Neither have I.
Oh.
But, I mean, you wouldn't get professionals playing with it, but if you went out to the south of France and stayed at your friend's weekend place in Juan-le-Pan,
right.
when you got
well,
over...
why would you want... I mean, surely you would much rather have one made by Head
or Wilson.
Or Wilson or Dunlop or one of those famous ones.
I don't know, but apparently they're all aimed at women, these things, you know what I mean? So that a woman, would say, we've got the Chanel... tennis racket and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, but it's what people do, and apparently this is the way that you expand your brand. Now, you see, that makes me think if these brands are expanded into areas where people are not necessarily aware of what they're doing, what could be the next thing that we expand into, the Two Mikes as a brand?
Well,
right?
I mean, you've already done the old Porky scratchings, haven't you?
Yes.
Somebody actually sent me an Ask Porky, but I didn't get to reading it out.
Yeah.
Who was asking how well the sales are going on that.
Oh, very well indeed.
I mean, I don't wish you to put you on the spot and ask you for commercial information to be given out.
No. Well, what I can tell you is there's a pub in the middle of a place called Sutton. It's called the Cock and Bull.
Uh-huh.
And they're having an apple fair a week on Friday.
What's an apple fair?
Well, it's to promote cider drinks.
Okay.
But they call it the apple fair because there's going to be a lot of apples there and all that.
That makes sense.
But there's also a big stall there of Porky Parry scratchings.
Oh, is there? Who's going to man the stall? You?
Well, they're going to be free.
All right.
Because people are going to wander in and get their cider and all that, and then it's going to say, one of the most scrumptious snacks to have with cider.
Well, how are you
managing
to make that work then?
How am I managed to make it work?
Yeah.
Because it's part of my promotional budget.
What do you mean you're just giving them away?
Yes.
That's your promotional budget?
Yes.
Well, no wonder you're not making any money.
No, it's not a question of that.
You can't just give them away.
No, this is a select promotion.
I see.
A bit like the one you and I went to,
yes.
When, again, the promotional budget
the great thing about that was when I woke up in the middle of the night and found that I had 2 packets of pork scratchings and I ate them.
Yeah,
and they were delicious.
Yes, exactly.
I'm not just saying that.
No, I know they are. They're a new recipe and people love them. 1,100 outlets in Essex have now taken them. And...
don't you think you should be selling them sort of to more of your, what you would call the, the homeland of your birth type up in the northwest
Well,
of England.
we're going to be up there. That's where they're manufactured. They're manufactured
That's
in
what
Wigan.
I mean. Shouldn't they be selling them all up there?
We're going to be talking to people who are senior execs at a number of pub chains, and because we are going over to America with British Airways,
yes,
and we'll be flying in quite a nice seat,
hopefully,
I have decided to take a couple of boxes along to give to them.
Well, you better be careful with that, because they won't let you into America with them.
Well, they don't have to. If they're on board the British Airways plane,
that's what I'm saying.
Give them away to the people on the plane.
Give them away to the people on the plane.
That's right, yeah.
And you might not be able to take them through customs either.
No, but the whole idea is to eat them on the plane with your champagne and all that kind of stuff.
No,
you know
they don't
what I mean?
go with champagne.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Well, I mean, I would be surprised. However,
yes.
I would counsel you to be careful about taking them through security.
Yeah.
Because they may well say that you can't take things like that through. Do you know how you're only allowed to take, for example, liquids below 100 millilitres?
I can assure you that our friends at British Airways, and I've already chatted to them about this,
Have you?
will take them through official channels, and they will go on board the plane along with all the other supplies.
Oh, so they can lob them into their sort of catering arenas.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Because, I mean, talking about airports, right, and this
yeah.
I don't think it's going to affect us as we fly out to New York in September.
Yes.
But this may affect my summer holiday.
Yes.
Which is obviously why I'm mostly concerned about it. Shambles at EU airports is the headline on the front page of the Daily Mail. And I read this story, and in fact, I tweeted it out a little bit earlier on in the day. Apparently, because of increased security at places like Barcelona, Nice, Malaga, Mallorca.
The Shenzhen.
The Schengen, you're talking about?
Yeah, the Schengen.
Shenzhen is in China.
That's right, yeah. It's all to do with the Schengen deal, isn't it?
Well, it's not just to do with that. It's to do with the heightened security because of the attacks that have happened.
Yes.
Which obviously we have to be very concerned about.
Of course.
However, the problem is there are some who believe that there's a specific kind of problem because it's post-Brexit and all of that.
Exactly, and this is Europe punishing us again.
And this is Europe sort of taking the opportunity, shall we say, to be slightly short-staffed in certain areas and being asked to do things with their kind of they're basically with their immigration and emigration people that they can't do.
But it's
and people are queuing up for 4 hours.
It's inhuman
It's
to
ridiculous.
have a family queuing for 4 hours with little
I mean,
kids.
you can't do that with children. It's shocking.
I know, absolutely shocking.
Yeah.
And you know, you think about all these people queuing up, and they need food, they need bathrooms, it's outrageous. Honestly, it really is.
Yeah.
It's one that drives me mad. It's waiting in a queue to get into a country.
I hate waiting in a queue to do anything. And I don't believe it's too bad actually going in. It's worse going out, which is the massive problem, because it means people are missing their planes because they've got to the airport in plenty of time and then they stand in a queue for 3 hours. It's absolutely shocking. We'll develop more on that.
I'd get to the front of the queue.
I know you'd probably come up with some way of doing that. We've got loads more coming up for the rest of the week. We've got Porky Vision tomorrow. We've got listography. We'll be doing the Porky quiz. This is TalkSport.
Look at the light! Don't forget to come back tomorrow for another sparkling, as fizzy as a bottle of champagne podcast from the two mics. I work 11 hours in one day.
No, you don't.
I can work 11 hours in one day.
No, you don't.
And these lazy bums are just getting 11 hours of one-to-one in a year.
Now.
In a year.
You're just shouting now because you've made a massive cock-up.
Can't beat a bit of the two mics. By far the best duo on national radio. Well, thank you, Mark. And any time you want a job, drop us a CV and we'll put it where we put all the other CVs, in the bin.
If you love the Two Mics podcast, you'll love the live show. Weekday overnights from 1am on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM and via the TalkSport app. TalkSport, your Premier League station with exclusive commentaries every weekend.
What an absolute corker!
TalkSport.
I must be psychical.
Psychical, maybe. Not psychic.
Yeah.
Yeah.